Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and tonight we have the Elite Eight game live reaction between the UConn Huskies and the Gonzaga Bulldogs. This game should be fantastic, an excellent basketball game, and you look at the game earlier, Florida Atlantic, you beat what a game. You beat Kansas State. You're going to the Final Four. Kansas State, a team a lot of people probably didn't think would be there as well, but Florida Atlantic getting the job done. That is unbelievable. A remarkable job by Dusty May. A lot of people think Dusty May is going to have a really good chance to get a Power 5 head coaching job. I think overall, you look at a lot of the jobs are not open right now. They've been taken, but Dusty May definitely deserves a really good job in the future. He's done a fantastic job overall with Florida Atlantic, and the Owls are in their first ever Final Four, beating Kansas State. That was a really good game as well. Kansas State is a great basketball team, and you look at what Marquise Noel did at the height of 5'8" is unbelievable. What he did is unmatched almost in college basketball. In the NCAA tournament, he has the record now for most assists in an NCAA tournament game. I just think that is a remarkable job by Marquise Noel. But unfortunately for him, his Kansas State Wildcats fell a little bit short, and Florida Atlantic beat Kansas State, and they move on to the Final Four. That was a fantastic game. But then we have this game here between the UConn Huskies and the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Gonzaga, they got a huge win in the Sweet 16. That was a fantastic win over UCLA. They squeaked out a win over TCU as well in the round of 32. So Gonzaga's battle-tested. Drew Timme, he is playing fantastic right now overall. I think that really bodes well for Gonzaga, looking at the level of play that Drew Timme's playing at right now. If he has a really good game and his teammates really step up as well, I think Gonzaga could be a really dangerous team in this game again. It could have a potential chance to win their first ever national title if they can keep up this level of play. But you look at UConn, they're no slouch. Adama Sanogo, he's a fantastic player. He just embraced Drew Timme at half court. I think he has been playing some of the best basketball of his career and some of the best basketball of anybody in this NCAA tournament. But the rest of the team's really solid as well. This should be a fantastic Elite Eight game. And the ball is tipped off, and the UConn Huskies have the ball first. It's 0-0, 19:50 to go in the first half. The Huskies have a really good basketball team. Dan Hurley's done a fantastic job. And Andre Jackson Jr., he misses a potential dunk attempt on a lob. Julian Strother going down the other way for Gonzaga. He misses the shot, and UConn with the basketball. And a foul on Gonzaga, on Anton Watson, on the rebound attempt. But this game's starting out high level at the start. I think you look at both these teams, they play high-flying basketball. They're both teams that can score a lot of points, and I think that really bodes well for both of these basketball teams with the potential to move on to the Final Four. If Florida Atlantic, K-State, then this should be a high-flying close basketball game. I think it should be. UConn with the ball right now, down to their man Adama Sanogo on the block. The big, he just misses a turnaround shot, but he has been playing fantastic in this tournament, but he does miss there. But Gonzaga with the ball back. Anton Watson kicks out for an open three to Nolan Hickman. He does miss the shot. So both teams a little cold early. 19 to go in the first. Tristan Newton, he thought about a three. But UConn, a really good passing team. They had a rut in Big East play. They started to play better. And you have Alex Caravan. He scores the first two of the game for the Huskies. 2-0 UConn. 18:40 to go in the first. And Drew Timme, he goes for a mid-range shot, and he misses fairly badly. Still 2-0 UConn. Maybe Drew Timme's still a little tired from that last game, and he'll have to play really well in this one. Tristan Newton, he misses, but Adama Sanogo gets the ball back, and he lays it in. 4-0 UConn. Adama Sanogo is a fantastic basketball player. Really good on the block. Plays high-level basketball, but 18:20 to go in the first. Gonzaga ball. They're down inside on the block. Kicks it back out to Anton Watson. But Gonzaga still scoreless early. Anton Watson for three, and he airballs it. Gonzaga really struggling to start this game, but again, so early. They struggled against UCLA early in that game, but they were able to turn it around. Could be some early game jitters, but UConn with the 4-0 lead, and they have the basketball again to try to extend the lead. But Adama Sanogo, he's definitely going to be a problem for Gonzaga on the block. UConn with the ball, passing the ball really well, trying to drive in. The Huskies have a lot of depth. Really talented team. Dan Hurley's done a great job with them. And UConn almost hits a big three in the corner. Alex Caravan had a really good look, but it rims in and out. Rasir Bolton's driving in for Gonzaga, gets the ball to Drew Timme on the block. He tried to kick to Anton Watson. It was almost a turnover. But Rasir Bolton for two, he knocks it down for Gonzaga. 4-2. The Bulldogs are on the board. 17:20 to go in the first. UConn with a really nice start to this game, but Gonzaga hanging around. Tristan Newton, the East Carolina transfer with the ball. He kicks out to Andre Jackson Jr., and he misses the wide open corner three. So Gonzaga starting to creep their way. Sorry about that, everybody. Having some technical difficulties right now. Have no idea what's going on. But still got a really good game going right now. You've got 5-2 lead for UConn over Gonzaga. We'll be getting this thing going tonight. Sorry about that, guys. Trying to go through everything. Trying to get back on track here. But UConn up 6-2 on Gonzaga. 16:20 to go in the first. Thanks, everyone, for being here through all the technical difficulties. But Gonzaga with another air ball three. The Bulldogs are really struggling to shoot the basketball right now. Probably need to get it in the paint. But it's still 6-2 UConn. The Huskies looking pretty good early in this game. Definitely better than the technical difficulties that I just had. Gonzaga really struggling right now, but still only down 6-2. It's so early in this game. So much time to get back in this one. But UConn for three in the corner, and they knock it down. What a shot by Jordan Hawkins. It's 9-2 UConn. 16 to go in the first. And Drew Timme with the ball on the left block. He had 36 big points against UCLA, and he misses another shot. UConn basketball. Andre Jackson with the ball. He's already hit a big shot to Tristan Newton, and he misses the three, but Andre Jackson tracks it down for UConn. 9-2. The Huskies with the lead. Jordan Hawkins for three. He misses a shot. Drew Timme with the rebound. Gonzaga trying to hang in there down 9-2. Rasir Bolton kicks it to Drew Timme. Now to Nolan Hickman. He's driving in the lane. Kicks back to Drew Timme. And Drew Timme with the layup. Nice shot by the big man for the Bulldogs. Drew Timme gets his first shot finally to drop. He's missed a couple easy ones early, but he finally got a big one to go down. But it's a pretty nice start to the game for UConn, up 9-4. Gonzaga trying to hang in there, but UConn with a lot of talent. Adama Sanogo on the block, and he had a relatively easy look right there. A very easy look. He just missed the shot over Anton Watson. He's going to have that shot all night, but Anton Watson's driving in. He knocks it down, 9-6. What a shot by Anton Watson. Definitely helping out Drew Timme, getting a lot of help there. But the Huskies still maintaining a 9-6 lead. But 14:30 to go in the first. We just saw a big upset with Florida Atlantic over Kansas State. But now UConn up 9-6 on Gonzaga, the winner to go to the Final Four. And Adama Sanogo for two. 11-6. And now Drew Timme down the floor. 11-8. It's going back and forth. Both teams running the floor. 14:20 to go in the first. This is a good sign for both teams when they're out running the floor, getting easy layups. It's definitely a good sign for Dan Hurley and Mark Few. Andre Jackson with the ball for UConn on the left block. He's kicking it back out. Tristan Newton Kicks to Adama Sanogo on the right block. Now back to Andre Jackson, and he lays it in. 13-8 UConn. Both teams playing really good basketball to start this game. 13:40 to go in the first. Gonzaga basketball down by 5. They're starting to get their offense going right now, but Drew Timme, he's driving in. And Drew Timme, he goes up, and he lays it in. But I think they might have called a travel on Drew Timme, so no layup. That's tough. 13-8. So Jackson's here. Thanks, everyone, for being here so far. Jackson said for the first time ever in school history, Florida Atlantic is going to the Final Four. And that is amazing. You look at overall, Jackson, you are 100% correct. With Florida Atlantic going to the Final Four, it just goes to show any team can make it. You have all these big blue blood teams, all these powerhouse programs, and Florida Atlantic with Dusty May at head coach. What an amazing job he's done with his players, with his basketball team. And you got Florida Atlantic going to the Final Four. Now, both these teams here, UConn and Gonzaga, they could go to the Final Four as well if they get this win. And I think that overall it won't be as big of a shock if either of these teams make the Final Four. But still, it just goes to show you any team can make it. March Madness, it's what it is. It's definitely madness. It's awesome for all of us getting to watch all these games. And this game right here should be a high-level basketball game. It's delivering so far. But that Florida Atlantic K-State game, what a game overall. Jackson says, well, I guess now that K-State has lost, the Big 12 reluctantly pull for Texas against Miami tomorrow. Again, as long as they're technically in the Big 12, it definitely will be a really good thing for the conference. G-Money, thanks for being here. G-Money says, Florida Atlantic going to the Final Four is something I'm glad for them as a Marshall fan who's watched them battle each other many times at the Cam Henderson Center. For sure, I mean, it's a big deal. And yes, Florida Atlantic will be going to the American Athletic Conference. And you never know, it might help Dusty May stay there a little longer, but I think that it's going to depend on whether there's another big job open or not. But still, Florida Atlantic going to the Final Four, that's huge. The biggest thing since Loyola Chicago for sure. G-Money says, give me the Huskies by 4. That's a good prediction. Easy Money's back tonight. How you doing? Easy Money says, hey, Jeffrey, crazy March Madness. And the Madness of all says, my Crimson Tide lost. And he says as well, Florida Atlantic, wow, another upset. Congrats to them getting to the Final Four. It's amazing. I mean, that was a fantastic game. I didn't want either team to lose. I wanted K-State to win. I wanted Florida Atlantic to win. You don't want either team to lose when both teams are playing that good of basketball. You just don't want them to lose. Jeff says, crazy day today already. I'm here. Hopefully another good game. Thanks for being here, Jeff. I am looking forward to this game. I know it's already started, but it's so early in the game. Looking forward to the rest of the game. But it should be awesome. Easy Money says, audio. Yeah, I was having some technical difficulties earlier, but hopefully it won't happen again. Doing all right now. Easy Money says, it's going to be hard for anyone to beat UConn. Well, actually, it's going to be hard to beat anyone. I mean, the way it's going right now, you can't even predict this anymore. You can't predict what's going to happen. Looking at these games, you just have no idea who's going to win. It just comes down to hustle. One more hustle play, one more made three. You just never know. James Scott, thanks for being here. James Scott said, with a couple of threes, UConn could put Gonzaga under real pressure. I mean, you look at, UConn, the fact that if you're able to knock down threes and you have Adama Sanogo on the block and you have to be able to slow him down, and he's even capable of knocking down a three, it makes UConn's offense almost unstoppable. And you look at Gonzaga as well, it's a similar thing. Drew Timme can knock down a three, but when his teammates are making shots, then you have to guard them farther out on the perimeter, and then you have to worry about Drew Timme on the block as well. So both teams are actually really similar overall in their style of play, having a big dominant post center down low that can step out and shoot the three occasionally. And then they have a lot of, complementary players. I think UConn maybe has a little bit more firepower with, Jordan Hawkins, but Gonzaga, Julian Strawther as well. He's the one that had ice in his veins and beat UCLA the other night. So again, both teams very similar, but it will be interesting. I think the team that does hit more threes will definitely free up the offense. But UConn up 13-8, Naheem lean into the game, and he misses a three in the corner. Donovan Klingman, the 7'2" big, into the game as well. Ben Gregg tasked with guarding him. That will be tough. But Alex Caravan for UConn stepped on the out-of-bounds line. Got to check your feet. You got to look where your feet are at. And he steps out of bounds, and Gonzaga down 5 with the basketball now. 13:03 to go in the first half. Hunter Salas is into the game for Gonzaga. It's a really solid player, but it's definitely trying to find his own, averaging around 4.5 points per game. But he gets the ball to Drew Timme. and Timmy blocked by Donovan Klingman. Donovan Klingman is a tough matchup for almost any player in the country. Drew Timmy's a really good player, so he should be able to handle him when he's in. But Donovan Klingman is really tall, he's really big, and he's a tough matchup for most post centers in the country. So it will be interesting to see how Gonzaga handles that. Probably have to take some more mid-range shots. But Drew Timmy with the ball at the top of the key, hands it down to Hunter Sallis, kicks out to Ben Gregg for three. Gregg misses the shot, but they call a foul. And Cardinal rule number 1, never foul on a three. You cannot foul on a three. And that is what UConn just did. Those points can come back to bite you at the end of the game. Judy Williams is here. Thanks, Judy. What's up, man? Go Zags. Thanks for being here. It's a great game. This is the best time of year. You cannot beat the Elite Eight March Madness. And Ben Gregg at the line, he knocks down the first. So he'll have 2 more foul shots. Try to cut into this lead for the UConn Huskies. Easy money to Jeff. Yeah, Nate Oates will get it figured out. We're getting close more ones every year. He's done a great job. But both these coaches, Dan Hurley, Mark Few, great coaches. And this should be a high-level game. Ben Gregg, he knocks down the second free throw. It's 13-10. 12:37 to go in the first. And Gregg, he does miss the last free throw. So he went 2 of 3 at the line. 13-10 UConn leads. 12:30 to go in the first. But the Huskies really passing the ball well to start this game. Tristan Newton with the basketball. He's averaging 10 points per game. Kicks it down to Andre Jackson. Up to Donovan Klingman. He tried to go over the top, but he couldn't knock the shot down. Gonzaga with the rebound. Gonzaga's starting to creep back in this game. Drew Timmy with the ball. Kicks to Malachi Smith at the top of the key. Back to Drew Timmy. Timmy with the floater, and he knocks it down. What a floater by Drew Timmy. He's just a solid player, makes shots, does a fantastic job. He's already got 6 points after a rough start when he couldn't make a shot, but he's starting to settle into this game. 13-12. Gonzaga only down by 1. That's a really good sign for the Bulldogs. Tristan Newton with the ball. He's driving in, and he knocks down a 2. He thought he got fouled on the arm, but it's March Madness. Let him play. 15-12. UConn leads. Drew Timmy down the floor. And Drew Timmy, he travels, which is rare for him. But they do call a travel on Drew Timmy. 11:38 to go in the first, and we have a 15-12 UConn lead. G-Money says Florida Atlantic is a blue blood. Hey, I mean, right now, the way teams are playing, you can make an argument anybody's a blue blood. Florida Atlantic just got the job done. I know a lot of people just say blue bloods are Kentucky, UCLA, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, those 5 teams. And they definitely have an argument. You still got the old blue bloods like Indiana and UConn as well. They're starting to get back around. And Gonzaga's been a new blood, even though they haven't won a title. Baylor, all these newer teams. But, hey, give Florida Atlantic a little bit of love. I completely agree with you. Easy money says UConn's the only team left that's won a championship, and there will be more newbies to the Final Four for Atlantic already. 100%. And that makes it really cool, getting to see new teams have a chance to win it all. And I think you look at a team like Texas, the amount of history they have, and they haven't even been to the Final Four in over 20 years, and they haven't ever won a national championship. So it's insane. I think it's amazing that, UConn's the only team that's already won a title that's left. And if they lose tonight, you could definitely have a new champion for sure. And I think that it goes to show you, again, any program can have success. You get the right coach, a little bit of luck, the right players, and you can go far. And I think that's what makes March Madness so awesome. Football is a great sport. College football is awesome, but a lot of times it's the same teams almost every year. But you have, this games like this, UConn, Gonzaga, with the teams that are here, year in and year out. But then you have new teams like Florida Atlantic, Loyola Chicago. You never know. It's what makes March Madness so special. But this game right now between UConn and Gonzaga, to Jeff's point, it's getting very physical. And you had a pretty good feeling it would. You got Adama Sanogo. You've got Drew Timmy. Very physical basketball players. Do everything they possibly can to get in the lane, take contact, get to the foul line. And both these teams, especially with UConn, they're in the Big East. And the Big East is one of the most physical conferences in college basketball. You look at Gonzaga, they're in the West Coast Conference. Not as much physicality with most of those teams, but Gonzaga plays physical. That's Mark Few's style. He wants his team to really get into the face of the other team. And then you look at UConn, they're in the Big East, so it just makes sense that they're going to be physical. Makes sense that they're doing everything they possibly can, to take contact and be able to get to the foul line. That's how you got to win in these big games, especially when shots aren't falling. You cannot live and die by the three. A lot of teams do. And when you are not making your shots and you don't have a lot of post presence, or you don't have guys that can get in the lane and hit some layups, you definitely can lose. And I think that both these teams are really solid because when the threes aren't falling, they have players that are capable of getting in the lane, hitting some floaters, knocking shots down. So I think that will really bode well for both these teams. But right now, UConn with the 3-point lead over Gonzaga. It's 15-12 in the Elite Eight. Winner to go to the Final Four. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be able to win this game, but it should be a fantastic game. Easy Money says Jeff, yep, in San Diego State played an outstanding physical defense. We weren't ready. Talking about with Alabama. And again, physicality is key. You can win when you're a three-point shooting team. It's definitely capable of doing that. Look at Miami. They're a team that's hitting a lot of shots right now. They're still alive in the tournament. But a lot of these other teams, getting the ball down low, getting the layups, getting to the foul line. And that's how you're going to be able to win. And you've got to make enough shots and make timely baskets. And don't make mistakes. You can't make mistakes. You can't make unforced errors. You can't turn the basketball over. And I think what Drew Timmy's done for Gonzaga, 10 career 20-plus point games in the NCAA tournament, that's amazing. And he's going to have another big game. He's going to have to outplay Adama Sanogo, and Adama Sanogo's going to have to outplay Drew Timme for either of these teams to get the win. I think that's a key, and I also think whoever makes more shots, fewer turnovers, has a really good chance to win. But so far, UConn has outplayed Gonzaga by a little bit. It's 15-12, 11:30 to go in the first half. But the Huskies with the basketball, Andre Jackson, he's had a pretty solid start to the game and a couple shots, but he kicks to Naheem Aline, the Virginia Tech transfer, back to Andre Jackson. Now to Joey Calcaterra's into the game, and he misses a three. And Ben Gregg with the rebound. Nice rebound by Ben Gregg. Drew Timme still in the game. But Hunter Sallis now with the basketball. He's got the ball, trying to find a way to get an open shot. But UConn guarding really well. Drew Timme with the ball now at the free throw line, and they do call a foul on UConn. Jeff says great coverage on game. Looks like a close one again. Thanks, Jeff, so much for being here. Thanks for the compliment as well. And I definitely hope it's a close game. You cannot beat a close game. Even when it's a blowout, it's still March Madness, still a lot of fun. Don't know what's going to happen. When you have a close game that's going down to the wire, a nail biter, you cannot beat it. But it's still 15-12. Gonzaga with the ball. Julian Strother, he's driving in, taking contact, no foul, but he lays it in. 15-14. Bulldogs down one, 10:40 to go in the first. UConn basketball. Joey Calcaterra with the ball. He's having a solid season, averaging around 5 points per game. But Naheem Aline now kicks to Donovan Klingman. No Adama Sanogo on the floor, which makes it a little bit interesting for UConn's offense, where their points going to come from. But Naheem Aline takes a two, and he misses the shot. Naheem Aline's a really good shooter. He definitely scored a lot more at Virginia Tech, but he's surrounded by much more talent at UConn, not having to do as much. But he misses there. Hunter Sallis is driving in, kicks to Drew Timme. He thought about taking the mid-range shot. He drives, and he gets fouled. James Scott says, I think you get different teams in basketball because the seeding brackets are more honest in the voting polls than in college football. That's definitely true, James Scott. It's also because of the way basketball's played. You look at football, you have the offensive, defensive lines are so talented, and these smaller schools cannot match up with it at all. But in basketball, you can have a really talented team which miss shots. Your best player misses shots. So I think basketball is just a more fickle sport with how teams play. You're not going to always play as good because it's not like football where it's more about the athleticism, the talent, and the physicality. But I do think you're right a bit. You have a point for sure. G Money, he says, I want to see San Diego State versus Florida Atlantic in the Final Four in the battle of the mid-majors. That would be really cool. I mean, Creighton, technically not a Power 5 school. They're in the Big East, but it's still Power 6. But I know what you mean. That would be really cool to see San Diego State, Florida Atlantic. But Drew Timme at the line, and he splits the free throws. Solid free throw shooter, but definitely could be a better free throw shooter. Definitely can work on that, as he'll be in the NBA soon. You have to really shoot well at the line. But it's 15-all. Gonzaga's scrapped and clawed their way back in the game. Adama Sanogo back in for UConn, driving on Drew Timme. He's going up. He kicks down to Alex Caravan, and he lays it in. 17-15. And then UConn scrapping for it, and they call the ball off Gonzaga. What a play by Joey Calcaterra. That's hustle. Hustle plays help you win as well. but the Huskies up 17-15, 9:42 in the first, and UConn's getting the basketball back. Thomas Kremowski, thanks for being here. He says, how can one watch the game for free? I think possibly you can watch it on the March Madness Live app. They probably have it on there. I think that you have to, have a provider after that. If you don't, after 3 hours of free, watching the game. But I think you can do that. You can watch it on the March Madness Live app. But thanks for being here. Definitely try to help out with the live reaction so you guys can get the game. But thanks everyone for being here. 17-15 UConn. 9:35 to go in the first. The Huskies with the ball. Alex Caravan shoots a three on the left wing, and he misses the shot. Ben Gregg with the rebound. Ben Gregg's definitely an improving player for Gonzaga. Mark Few's been playing him more often. Ben Gregg at the top of the key. Kicks to Malachi Smith in the corners, averaging 9 points per game. He drives in, but what a block by Adama Sanogo. 17-15. UConn going down the floor, and Joey Calcaterra with a reverse layup. What a play. 19-15 UConn, 9 to go in the first. Hunter Salas with the ball to Malachi Smith, to Drew Timme, now to Julian Strother. Drew Timme with the ball in the left block. Kicks out to Ben Gregg for a wide open three, and he almost knocks it down, but it does not drop. Now Joey Calcaterra up to Adama Sanogo, up the floor, and they call a foul on the floor on Gonzaga. Both teams are passing the ball really well, up and down the floor. Got some high-flying action. It's been a great game so far, but what a reverse layup by Joey Calcaterra. Really good, solid player for the Huskies. But 8:44 to go in the first, and UConn will be inbounding the basketball. Hunter Salas now has 2 fouls. That's tough for Gonzaga. But Adama Sanogo at the top of the key hands it off to Jordan Hawkins, and they throw it away. Alex Caravan, he tried to find Adama Sanogo, but he throws it way out of bounds. Sanogo's a tall guy, but that is definitely a tough pass to try to get the ball from. No way he was going to be able to catch that. But now, Gonzaga to inbound, and Gonzaga almost turned it over again. They're getting a bit sloppy with the ball, but they do get it in. Nolan Hickman's back in the game for Gonzaga. He's had a quiet start to this game. But now Julian Strother being hounded at the top of the key. Ben Gregg has it back to Julian Strother. He takes a floater, and he knocks it down. Julian Strother hit the big three to get Gonzaga past UCLA, and now he hits a tough floater. He's got 4 points so far in this game. 19-17. UConn, 8 to go in the first. Huskies with a 2-point lead. Tristan Newton passes to Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins averages 16 points per game. He's had a slow start to this one, but 7:55 to go in the first. He kicks to Adama Sanogo, and he travels. He traveled before the shot. He missed the shot anyway. A really good defense from Gonzaga overall. Easy Money says, well, Jeff, remember I got to go. And, Jeff, I'll catch you tomorrow, assuming you're covering a game. Y'all have fun. Everyone give it a like later, y'all. Thanks, Easy Money. Thanks for liking as well. I will definitely see you tomorrow. Probably try to do a game, but thanks for being here, Easy Money. James Scott said, Florida Atlantic has a chance to do something special. Number 9 seed has never made it to the national championship game. I think that would be amazing, and they could do it. They really could. If they play Creighton or San Diego State and they play as well as they did tonight, I think Florida Atlantic could go to the national championship game. You never know. Right now, madness, it's crazy. Nothing's predictable, and I think that's what makes March Madness so awesome. Jeff says, for anyone who hasn't subscribed, please do. The coverage is great. Thanks so much for the compliment, Jeff. Thanks so much. If you guys are new, subscribe to the channel, like the stream down below. But thanks to everyone for being here tonight. We got a great game. Thanks everyone for being here. Jeff says, sounds great to Easy Money. See it for sure. This has been a really good game so far. I think you look at both of these basketball teams, it's kind of going the way you expect. Drew Timme, Adama Sanogo demanding so much attention, and it is getting some open looks for both teams, and they are knocking some of the shots down, which I think definitely helps both of these teams out when they're making shots, because then you can get easier drops to the basket. You can get easier shots for Drew Timme or Adama Sanogo. But for sure, I do think the way that this game's going to go for both of these teams, you got to get the ball to your big men. You've got to be able to get some easy layups down on the block. But if you're not able to knock the threes in, especially the open ones, whichever team misses more of those open shots, it will be really tough for them to win. You don't want to be the be-all and end-all for sure, but it is really tough because of the fact you have to be able to find a way to counteract when you're not able to make the threes. And if you're not able to make the threes, it makes it tougher on your center, makes it tougher to drive the basketball. So it will be interesting to see. I think overall, both of these teams are really talented, and this game's been a high-level game so far. And I think if you look at both these basketball teams, they are Final Four good. But there's been a lot of teams that have already lost before the Final Four that were really good as well. So, I mean, you can't slip up. You can't have a bad game. One slip up, one bad game, and you're out. But both these teams have avoided a bad game so far. But it definitely should be really interesting. I'm looking forward to the rest of this game. So far, it's been high-flying action. It's really tough to say, oh, this has been the best game of March Madness. There's already been like 10 games that you could qualify and say it's been the best game of March Madness so far. It has been amazing. These basketball games have been fantastic all around. So many thrillers, so many classics so far. So if UConn Gonzaga is a great game, it will just be another great game. And I think that overall, you cannot ask for much better March Madness. And when some people say this has been the best March Madness of all time, it's really tough to say that as well because of the fact there's been so many great March Madnesses in years past. But I will say that this year's March Madness has an argument. It has a case for being one of the best, and it's not even over yet. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's just because of all the upsets. I think that the upsets do matter because it just makes for the chaos and for the March Madness to actually, mean something because you have so much unpredictability. But overall, even with all these upsets, all these teams are just playing great basketball. And I do think it makes for some chaotic action, a lot of great games. And, the unpredictability makes it so much more interesting for a lot of people, especially if you're not like a fan of basketball that much or you don't watch all the time. The unpredictability makes it so cool because you just never know what's going to happen. But it's been a great game so far. Thanks, everyone, for being here so far. UConn up 19-17 on Gonzaga. 7:53 to go in the first. And Anton Watson, he will be inbounding the basketball for Gonzaga. The Bulldogs have been down most of this first half so far. UConn has maintained a steady lead. But UConn's lead has dwindled. They were up by about 6-7 points, but Gonzaga's getting back in it. Julian Strada takes the ball from Drew Timme with another floater, and he knocks it down 19-19. What a play by Julian Strada. He's a really good basketball player. I think he definitely has an NBA future. He's hitting a lot of tough shots. He's been playing better and better basketball, but it's 19-19. 7:20 to go in the first. Adama Sanogo, he hands the ball off to Tristan Newton. Now down to Adama Sanogo, and he passes the ball to Andre Jackson, and UConn retakes the lead. 21-19, 7 to go in the first. Drew Timme with the ball, kicks to Malachi Smith. Julian Strada in the corner for three, and it rims in and out. Anton Watson tries to save the basketball. Ref's trying to find out who it's off of, and I do think it's staying with Gonzaga. It's off of UConn. 6:57 to go in the first half. Been high-flying action so far. Both these teams, you tell, can want to go to the Final Four. Gonzaga with the ball. Nolan Hickman with it. He hasn't scored too much in this first half, but he's still playing well. He pulls it back and shoots the three, but he does not make it. Adama Sanogo with another rebound. Such a big body down low. Alex Karaban for three for UConn, and he misses the shot. Julian Strada with the ball, and Julian Strada's going down the floor. Both teams are running the floor. Malachi Smith fakes the three, but he shoots it in the corner, and he knocks it down. Gonzaga's taking the lead. 22-21, 6:25 to go in the first half. What a shot by Malachi Smith. Gonzaga, got to hit those open threes. Really good shot fake. Both teams have only hit 1 3 so far. 6:10 to go in the first half. And Gonzaga now has the lead over UConn 22-21. But Adama Sanogo on the block. He almost travels. Drew Timme thought he did, but they didn't call it. And Alex Karaban in the corner for UConn. And the Huskies back up by 2, 24-22. And the Bulldogs turn it over. Try to get the ball to Drew Timme while he was running the floor, and the pass goes over his head. That's a tough play. You definitely could see what they were aiming for right there, trying to pass the ball up the floor to Drew Timme, but the ball went over his head. Sometimes you just can play a little too opportunistic. but definitely like the heart and hustle. Drew Timme did everything he could to get the basketball, but he falls out of bounds. And it's UConn ball, 24-22, 5:40 to go in the first half. And Andre Jackson left wide open for three, and UConn does not knock it down. Drew Timme with the ball, gets it to Julian Strother, and he's going down the lane, and he gets fouled and one. What a play by Julian Strother. Going into the lane, taking contact, and he goes up with it, and he hits a ridiculous shot, 24-24. What a pass by Drew Timme as well to Julian Strother as they were running down the floor. Drew Timme's gotten much better at passing, but how did Julian Strother get that ball to go in? There was tons of contact. James Scott says, I've seen a lot of extra steps taken without a dribble this tournament. I think that's why there's been a lot of high-flying action as well. It's looking like the NBA out there. I agree with you, James Scott. Not a lot of travels called, but if they're not calling it on either side, it's hard to complain. But I do agree that there should be more travels called. I can agree with you there. But Julian Strother, he makes the free throw. Alex Caravan now has 2 fouls, and Gonzaga is up by 1 again. Game's going back and forth. Both teams are exchanging leads. 5:20 to go in the first half. Tristan Newton with the basketball. He's driving it. He did not travel for sure, and he gets fouled. 5:18 to go in the first. UConn trying to retake the lead. It's probably been 4 lead changes in the last couple of minutes. Both teams doing everything they can right now. It's been a high-flying first half. And Tristan Newton, who's at the free throw line, the transfer from East Carolina, and he's at the line for the first free throw, and he misses it short. Got to make your free throws in March Madness. You don't want to leave points on the table. And Tristan Newton going back up to the foul line for the second free throw. Against Arkansas in the Sweet 16, he had 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. Had a pretty all-around game, and he's at the line for the second free throw, and he knocks it down, hits the front iron, and rolls in, and it's 25-25. Game's going back and forth. 5:10 to go in the first. UConn had a 7-point lead at one time, but Gonzaga has fought their way back. Julian Strother in the lane, and he misses a floater. UConn basketball. Adama Sanogo with another rebound. Andre Jackson's bringing the ball up the floor. Kicks to Naheem Aline for 3, and Naheem Aline knocks it down. Big shot for him. Big shot for the Huskies, and they're back up 28-25. Drew Timme with the ball on the left block. He goes up with it, and he misses a shot. Kind of a wild shot by Drew Timme. Probably not the best decision there. But 4:40 to go in the first half. Tristan Newton for 3. He misses it. The ball was tipped, so UConn gets the basketball back, bringing it back up the floor. And I think there might be a timeout. Maybe the refs are having to review something. Right now, this game is going back and forth. Some high-flying action. 4:32 to go in the first. Mark Few and Dan Hurley are wondering why the refs stopped the game. 28-25. I think they were looking to see if there's a deflection. Maybe it wasn't. It don't look like Gonzaga touched it. So you can make an argument it should be Gonzaga basketball. But they do give the ball back to UConn. Probably not reviewable. 4:30 to go in the first. UConn with a 3-point lead up, 28-25. Tristan Newton kicks to Jordan Hawkins. And Jordan Hawkins with the basketball, driving into the lane. He takes a floater, and he does not hit the shot. Andre Jackson tried to tip it back in, and he misses. But there's a tie. And Gonzaga has the possession there. What effort by both basketball teams. So much effort being displayed by both teams on the floor. This has been an incredible first half. Gonzaga down 3, 28-25 UConn. 4 to go in the first. And Nolan Hickman has the ball. He kicks to Anton Watson, who has been really quiet this first half. Julian Strother in the lane. He's trying to turn around. Could have been a travel, and he throws it away. What defense by UConn. And there's 3:55 left to go in the first half. It's the under 4 timeout, and the UConn Huskies are maintaining a 3-point lead over Gonzaga. This game's going back and forth. Definitely to be expected. But the ball's been going away from the post, guys. It has not been a lot of touches right now for Adama Sanogo. Drew Timme's gotten a few more, but he's starting to miss some shots that he normally makes. Adama Sanogo is having a really tough time getting some open looks right now. But the guards are really handling the basketball well for UConn. But there has been a few turnovers, but that's just due to great defense. It's hustle plays, doing everything you can to turn the other team over. And I think that that's key. If you look at that Florida Atlantic game against Kansas State earlier today, Florida Atlantic had like 20 turnovers and still won. But why they won is because they made so many big shots. They were running the ball up and down the floor. Kansas State was as well. So it created more possession. So if you had the turnovers, you had more chances to be able to come back and make a shot to be able to take the lead again. When you slow the game down, like Virginia does, it prevents you from having more possessions. But since Kansas State and Florida Atlantic were running the floor, the Owls had 20 turnovers and still won. Turnovers are really important. You want to keep them low. But sometimes just having more possessions, and even if you make mistakes, if you have a lot of possessions to have more chances to get the ball in the hoop, you can still win anyway. James Scott, he says, I understand the refs letting a guy take a step and shooting, but when they take 3 steps and pass it out, I think, where's the whistle? I completely agree with James Scott. It is what it is. I just think right now, the way these teams are playing, I think there's just so much hustle. They want the game to be really exciting. Maybe they're just not really looking for it. But I do agree with you. It is tough. But right now, both teams are, traveling a good bit. A lot of teams are, but it's just running the floor, high-flying action. It is exciting. James Scott says to Jeff, I know your boys are out of the basketball tournament. How's the top baseball team looking? Any chance to win the Southeast? I don't know. Bama baseball could be really good. I have seen them have a lot of success, so you never know. But I do think that you look at this game between UConn and Gonzaga. It's been a high-level basketball game. Baseball, its time's coming really soon. You got Major League Baseball coming around the corner. College baseball, I think, has already started. But right now, we got the Elite Eight, UConn and Gonzaga. You can't ask for a bigger matchup between two really good basketball teams. They might not be blue bloods, but they are really good basketball teams, have dominant post centers in Adama Sanogo and Drew Timme, and they have really good wing players as well in Jordan Hawkins and Julian Strother. Good guards. I do think Gonzaga is a little weak in the guards, especially considering some of the guards they've had in the past, but both teams are still supremely talented, and you can definitely see the talent on the floor in this game and the hustle by both these teams to try to get to the Final Four. But thanks for everyone being here so far in this stream. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Share the stream out on social media. But thanks everyone for being here so far. You guys make this stream great. You guys are definitely the reason why I'm doing this, and you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. But right now we have a 28-25 lead for UConn over Gonzaga. 3:50 to go in the first half, and it's UConn basketball. Naheem Aline with the basketball. He's had a pretty solid game. Just hit a big 3 for UConn. And he passes the ball over in the corner to Tristan Newton. It's down to Adama Sanogo on the block, right where the ball needs to be. And he passes it to Andre Jackson. And he almost dunked it, but he laid it in. Still counts the same. 30-25. Andre Jackson with 6 points. Adama Sanogo is 4 assists. Again, he's gotten much better at passing. But Gonzaga, again, down by 5. Rasir Bolton with the basketball. He's been really quiet in this game. Kicks to Drew Timme, and Timmy's going up with the layup. 30-27. Really good pass by Rasir Bolton. And Drew Timme, what great body control down the lane to lay it in on the reverse side of the rim. He's got 9 points. Gonzaga with 9 assists on 11 made field goals. 3 to go in the first. Back and forth first half. Been a very quick-moving first half as well. Not a lot of fouls. It's made it very fun to watch. Tristan Newton with the ball. He's driving in, and Tristan Newton with a layup, and he gets fouled. He almost hit a big layup, but he does get fouled on the way up. That was a really good drive by Tristan Newton. He almost got the layup to fall, but, I mean, it's still getting the free throws, getting fouled. If you knock them down, still a really good possession for UConn at the end of the day. But UConn has missed a couple free throws. Got to make your free throws when they count. But Tristan Newton, the ECU transfer, really good find for Dan Hurley. Did a really good job finding him in the transfer portal. The portal era is really helping out a lot of teams to be able to find underrated talent. You bring these guys in, they can surprise you. But Tristan Newton, he knocks down the first, extends UConn's lead back up to 4, 2:48 to go in the first half, and UConn's up 31-27. Both these teams exchanging leads. Both these teams playing really hard. And Tristan Newton with the second free throw, he goes up with it, and he misses the free throw. Again, another missed free throw. But Drew Timme with 2 fouls. That could be an issue for Gonzaga. Rasir Bolton in the lane. He misses an easy floater. He got all the way into the lane and he misses the floater. That's a tough miss for Rasir Bolton. But Mark Few had to take Drew Timme out. Don't want him picking up the third foul. Ben Gregg's back in the game with the task of trying to guard Adama Sanogo. He passes it to Andre Jackson. And right now, Adama Sanogo and Andre Jackson are a 1-2 punch right now. Really good passes by Adama Sanogo and Andre Jackson. He does dunk the ball this time. 33-27. UConn up 6. 2 to go in the first. And Julian Strother with the massive dunk. 33-29, 2 to go in the first. What a dunk by Julian Strother. He's going to have to fill the void while Drew Timme's out for the last 2 minutes. Tristan Newton with the ball at the March Madness logo, being hounded by Nolan Hickman. Kicks to Adama Sanogo, who's palming the ball on Ben Gregg. Naheem Aline to Andre Jackson. Jackson with the tough floater in the lane, and he misses the shot. Adama Sanogo tried to get the rebound, but it goes into Julian Strother's hands. Kicks to Nolan Hickman, who's flying into the lane. And Nolan Hickman misses. Adama Sanogo with the rebound. Both teams running the floor. Insane action. Can't even keep up with it. And Tristan Newton misses a layup. And then Andre Jackson saved to Naheem Aline to Jordan Hawkins for 3, and he misses. And then Tristan Newton almost turned it over, but it's back to UConn. And Jordan Hawkins for 3. This is some high-flying action. And Mark Few is wanting to settle it down, and he uses his first timeout. He does not like what he's seeing. His team cannot grab the basketball. The ball just keeps going back to UConn. James Scott said this one has the making of a tough emotional ending. For sure, it's just going back and forth. But Gonzaga right now, if they could just get the rebound, would be in much better shape. They are really struggling with that right now. Sometimes the ball just does not fall into your hands, but you got to do everything you can to get those rebounds, because the more chances you give a team, especially a great basketball team like UConn, and you could be in a pickle. And you look at UConn, they had 3 opportunities on that possession, and they finally knocked down a 3. And again, Mark Few's not liking what he's seeing. Mark Few's calling a timeout, trying to settle his team down, and he doesn't have Drew Timme in the game. That is definitely an issue, not having Drew Timme in the game. He has 2 fouls, but he's going to have to find a way to settle his team down. If Gonzaga goes down at half by 5 points, no big deal. You're getting Drew Timme back in the second half, but you're going to have to find a way to be able to sustain that, because if UConn goes up by 10 or 12 at the half, even though Gonzaga was down by 13 to UCLA at the half in the Sweet 16, it's still really tough to come back. And they were able to do that against UCLA, but they still barely won. You don't want to flirt with that. You want to do everything you possibly can to stay in the game, stay relatively close, and just try to be able to hang around and then get the win at the end. But it will be interesting to see what happens. UConn trying to get some separation. It's been a back and forth first half, but right now, looking at the way UConn's playing, they are starting to out-hustle Gonzaga, which is really tough to do. But that is what the Huskies are doing. And again, making your open threes when they're available to you. And that is what Jordan Hawkins just did. After the third offensive rebound by UConn, he hits a big 3 in the left corner. And UConn now has opened up a 36-29 lead on Gonzaga. And it's almost the end of the first half. It's been a great first half. Mark Few calls timeout to try to settle his team down. And it will be interesting to see what they do outside of the timeout. Jeff says, what a game. 100%. You cannot ask for a better game. The high-flying action, the emotion, the fight, the hustle. It's insane. It's definitely a great basketball game, but that's what you would expect in these Elite Eight games. I mean, you're now down to the top games. I mean, Florida Atlantic, Kansas State was a classic earlier today, and the Owls getting the win. They're in the Final Four, the 9-seed Florida Atlantic Owls, and they do not want to be called a Cinderella. They want to say they belong, and the way they're playing, they definitely do, because that was a huge win over Kansas State. And Kansas State's a great team. I feel really bad for Marquise Noel, Keontae Johnson. It's a really tough loss, but the Florida Atlantic Owls with the big win. And they're showing yet again national championships for remaining teams. Outside of UConn, the rest of the field is no national champions. It's going to be really interesting to see. Well, we have a new champion this year. If UConn goes down at any time, somebody's going to be getting their first national championship, and that will be huge. And I know Gonzaga, they definitely want it with Drew Timme and Mark Few. But there's 1:18 to go in the first. Drew Timme still on the bench with those 2 fouls, trying to preserve those fouls. And Gonzaga with a 7-point deficit on UConn, 1:15 to go in the first. Where's the offense going to come from? Rasir Bolton, he kicks the ball to Anton Watson. Malachi Smith, he's driving into the lane, and Malachi Smith knocks down the two. 36-31. Really nice floater from Malachi Smith. He's hit a couple big shots. 55 seconds to go in the first half. Tristan Newton down to Adama Sanogo on the block, who definitely has an advantage on Ben Gregg. Sanogo goes up strong, and the ball goes in and out. He had the shot, but Gonzaga has the ball again, trying to cut into this lead. 40 seconds to go in the game. Rasir Bolton kicks to Anton Watson. Julian Strawther's driving in. Back to Anton Watson. Back to Strawther for three. And Julian Strawther, he misses the three, but Anton Watson with the offensive rebound. Kicks back out to Rasir Bolton. 20 seconds to go. And Rasir Bolton with the left, he misses. And I think they do call a foul. 20 seconds to go in the first half. So Gonzaga will have some free throws to try to cut into this lead before the half. But both teams are just playing a high-level basketball. You can definitely tell this is an Elite Eight game. It's been a great game so far. Rasir Bolton at the free throw line. And there is a timeout by UConn using the use it or lose it timeout. Dan Hurley probably telling his team what to do once the free throws are done. But if Gonzaga hits both these free throws and cuts the lead down to three, they'll have a really good chance going into the second half with Drew Timme back. They're not down by much. Have a great chance in the second half. But you look at UConn, Gonzaga misses these free throws. UConn goes down there and shoots a three. They'll be up by 8. So this could be a big swing right here. This is a really important next 2 possessions for both of these basketball teams. But thanks, everyone, for being here tonight. You guys have been amazing. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But thanks, everyone, for being here. You guys are awesome, and this game is awesome as well. UConn with a slight lead over Gonzaga, 36-31. Both teams are going back and forth in tons of lead changes. But it will definitely be interesting to see how this first half ends. See if Gonzaga can cut into this lead. But I think both teams have played really well. I think you look at Gonzaga without Drew Timme in the game, they've been hanging in there. They could have started to wilt and fall down by more, but they've definitely been hanging around trying to stay in this game. And Rasir Bolton, he's averaging 10 points and 3 assists per game this season, and he's at the line for 2 critical free throws, and he misses the first. Again, you got to make your free throws. It's March Madness. Got to make the free throws. That will definitely not help Gonzaga out. And they've showed Gonzaga starting guards this season only averaging 10 points per game this tournament. That is not very good. But Rasir Bolton, he does hit the second free throw. Gonzaga down by 4, 20 seconds to go in the first half. And Dan Hurley having that timeout. What did he call for UConn? What does the Huskies have on this possession? Andre Jackson with the basketball, bringing it up the floor. 15 seconds to go. All the players are standing around, waiting for the play. 9 seconds to go, swings to Tristan Newton at the top of the key. He's driving in. They were trying to get to Adama Sanogo, but it didn't work. But Alex Karaban for 3, and he knocks it down. Big shot for UConn, and the Huskies are going into the half up by 7. What a shot by Alex Karaban, 39-32 UConn. And Jeff says Mark Few will figure it out. He definitely will have to figure something out because they're putting so much attention on Adama Sanogo, and UConn's starting to hit these open shots. Gonzaga's going to have to find a way to guard it a little bit harder, and Drew Timme can't get in foul trouble. He's going to have to find a way to be able to guard Adama Sanogo in the second half without fouling, and they're going to have to stick to the shooters more because UConn's starting to make these shots. If you keep leaving them open, daring them to shoot, it looks like the way they're playing right now, UConn's going to keep making these shots, so you got to guard them. You got to find a way to be able to slow them down. Clint Moses is here. Go Beavs. Thanks for being here, Clint. Beavers, again, not in the tournament, but still so much March Madness going on, so many great games. It will definitely be interesting to see if the Beavers can get back in the tournament soon. But the UConn Huskies are definitely back. Dan Hurley has done a great job. UConn had fallen off after the end of the Jim Calhoun era. Kevin Ollie had a little bit of success with Jim Calhoun's players, but then it tailed off. But now Dan Hurley's in town, and Dan Hurley's done a really good job in Storrs, Connecticut. UConn's been playing much better basketball the past couple of seasons, and now the Huskies are in the Elite Eight with a really good chance with another good 20 minutes to go to the Final Four. to reestablish themselves as one of the biggest brands of college basketball. But Gonzaga, they've been a great second half team this year. There's been a lot of games where the Bulldogs have been down at half and they found a way to come back. I think you look at the UCLA game as a prime example. They were down by 13. A lot of people had already crowned UCLA to the Elite Eight, and for good reason. There was nothing the Bruins could do wrong in that first half, but Gonzaga stuck to it. Gonzaga found a way to come back in that game, hit tough shots. Julian Strawther, again with ice in his veins, hits that big three to win the game. And Gonzaga's here now in the same situation. Down by 7 at the half, not a 13-point deficit, but a 7-point deficit. And Gonzaga's going to have to find a way, settle it down, get Drew Timme the ball in good positions, have him make some shots, and then Julian Strawther, Rasir Bolt, some of the other players for Gonzaga is going to have to start knocking some threes in, which they did not shoot the ball well in that first half. I think they only hit 1 3, and that was Malachi Smith's three in the corner. UConn's hit several threes now, but it definitely will be interesting to see how Gonzaga approaches the second half. They're going to have to find a way on the defensive end to not allow UConn to keep scoring really at ease. I mean, you look at Adama Sanogo, like Drew Timme, demands so much attention. But UConn's just kicking the ball out to the shooters, and they're starting to make shots. And again, when UConn's making shots, they are a really deadly basketball team. I think if you look at UConn in the stretch of the season where they started to lose games in the middle of Big East play, I think you look at when UConn was losing games, it was just because they were missing shots. Adama Sanogo was still playing great basketball. He was still making big shots, but it was the other players around him that were not making shots. But since that stretch, since they had that really bad run in Big East play, the beginning of the season, UConn was excellent. The end of the season, UConn was excellent. And now they're still playing great basketball. And the formula for UConn, Adama Sanogo demands so much attention and just make shots. And I think that is so key for UConn. What they're doing right now is what they've been doing, and it's working. And it's going to keep working if Gonzaga can't find a way to make halftime adjustments. I think Gonzaga's playing really hard. This has been a high-level first half between both these teams. But you look at toward the end of that first half, UConn just started to out-hustle Gonzaga. Specifically that one possession where UConn got 3 chances to score. Gonzaga needs to come up with that rebound. Yes, Drew Timme was not in the game with 2 fouls, but you still have Ben Gregg, who is a capable rebounder. You've got to get the rebound. Julian Strawther's a big forward. He's got to be able to get that rebound. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Gonzaga's going to have to do everything they possibly can to get rebounds and make shots and be able to feed Drew Timme. And when it's not there for him, kick it back out. Because if not, UConn will be going to the Final Four. But this game is so far from over. It should be a fantastic second half. I'm looking forward to it. I think both of these teams played a high-level first half. But again, the way Gonzaga is as a second-half team, I think that they have a great chance to come back and win as well. This game is far from over. Still a lot of basketball to be played. But it should be great, and I'm looking forward to it. But you look at the Elite Eight so far. Florida Atlantic going to the Final Four after beating Kansas State. And I know a lot of people thought Kansas State would be going to the Final Four. I mean, I even thought Kansas State had a really good chance to win. The way they've been playing, Marquise Noel had 19 assists against Michigan State. 19 big assists. An NCAA tournament record. He had 20 points in that game. And then tonight he has 30 points. He plays flawless. He does everything that is asked of him. He has over 10 assists. He has a double-double. He played fantastic. But Florida Atlantic hit more shots. Florida Atlantic hit more free throws. In that second half, Kansas State missed several free throws, which is tough. You can't miss free throws. And Kansas State did miss a good amount of free throws in that second half. Marquise Noel only missed 1, but his teammates missed several. And they started getting in foul trouble, and they started giving Florida Atlantic some open threes. And yes, you have to somehow find a way to just hope the other team misses. You're trying to do everything you can to stop the 7-footer that Florida Atlantic has down low, Vlad Golden, because he's such a big center, and Kansas State didn't really have a body for him. But I think that you look at overall, they couldn't stop him. And then once they tried to start keying in on him, they kicked it out for threes, and they made shots. So that's how Florida Atlantic won the game. And Florida Atlantic's a really good basketball team. They play fundamental basketball. What Dusty May has done is a great job. He deserves a Power 5 head coaching job. He will get it in the next year or two. Great head coach. And Florida Atlantic, if they can continue to play the way they are, they could win the whole thing somehow. I think that obviously is still not the greatest chance in the world, but they could win the Final Four and maybe get to the national championship game. You never know. But it has been a fantastic March Madness, but you got to play fundamental basketball, even when you are by far the more talented team. I think the winner of this game has a great chance to win the whole thing. I think Texas, if they can beat Miami, or even Miami, if they beat Texas, has a really good chance to win it all. You never know in this tournament right now. But you see the team that plays harder with more hustle, getting the loose balls, less turnovers, hits more free throws, makes more open threes, and plays fundamental basketball, they win the games. And if you can do that for 6 straight games in March Madness, you can win the whole thing. But that is a hard thing to do. That's why so many great teams have already lost. Jeff says win or go home, period. Absolutely right, Jeff. You're 100% correct. You got to win. Can't lose. And even if you play a fantastic game like Kansas State, you sometimes still lose. James Scott says, I agree, Jeffrey. It seems like Gonzaga has done a poor job of controlling the pace of the game. They have to adjust here at half and change the momentum. You're absolutely right, James Scott. I think that Mark Few is a mastermind head coach. I think he can do it. UCLA, they found a way to get back in that one. They were down by a lot more at half. They can do it again. Gonzaga is a really good basketball team. They're not a team that really panics. A lot of teams panic when they fall behind. I don't think Gonzaga does. I don't even think they've really panicked in this game. They just got to play hard, hustle, get the rebound, make foul shots, hit open threes, get the ball to Drew Timme in the second half. I mean, he's your bread and butter. You got to get the ball to Drew Timme. I think if they do that, they'll still have a really good chance to win. Dan Jones is here. Thanks for being here. Dan, he says, go Ducks. For sure. And Judy Williams as well. I want to see Mark Few win national championship. He deserves one. I agree with you, Judy Williams. I think overall, you look at Gonzaga, that one year they were undefeated. They would have been the first team to be undefeated in college basketball and win a national championship since Indiana back in 1976. Had a really good chance, and then they lost to Baylor. They were great that year. That team was fantastic. And you lost to Baylor in the national championship. That was really tough. And then Gonzaga had another chance in the national championship game and lost to North Carolina. So they've had 2 chances. And I'm not saying they're running out of chances. I think that would be a little bit of an incorrect statement to say that they're running out of chances. But I will say that Mark Few needs to win it soon. Because of the fact you look at all of these other teams in college basketball right now that are getting really good. The recruiting with NIL. You see all of these programs that are getting so many of these talented players. Alabama's getting players like Brandon Miller. I mean, you're seeing all of these college basketball teams that are not Duke and Kentucky getting really talented basketball players. I don't know if this is going to go back to the way of old once NIL really settles in and these programs reestablish themselves. I don't know. But you just see a lot more basketball programs getting really talented players, having a lot of success now. And Gonzaga has had a really great run under Mark Few. Since 1999. That was the first year they were really good. They just kept getting better and better. And the last 8 years, they've been elite. They've been to 8 straight Sweet 16s. They've been to 2 national championship games, lost both. So Gonzaga's been on a great run. But if you look at it, the recruiting's not there. Gonzaga the next year or two, the recruiting is not really there. It's not the way it's been the last couple years. And you also, the transfer portal is going to be open. So Gonzaga obviously can bring in some really good transfers. But it is hard to use the portal exclusively. And you look at a guy like Drew Timme, who has been the lifeblood of the Gonzaga program for 4 years. And he was on the team that went to the national championship game in 2021 that lost. You had Jalen Suggs as well, who is a stud in the NBA. Great player. But I think if you're Gonzaga, you're running out of time. Mark Few's not going to be there forever. He's getting older. He still has however many years he wants to coach. A lot of coaches are coaching into their late 70s now. Jim Boeheim, Leonard Hamilton's still doing it. Bob Huggins is still doing it. A lot of coaches are coaching at an older age. Rick Pitino's still hanging around at 70. So I think that Mark Few can still coach longer. We don't know how long he's going to want to coach. But Gonzaga, I'm not saying they're starting to fall behind in recruiting, but they do need to win it really soon. This is a great opportunity this year with all the chaos that's abounding in March Madness. It would just be like the perfect setting for Gonzaga to finally get it done, their first national title. But if they don't win it soon, it will be really tough for them to do it. I think that obviously it's Mark Few. As long as he's there, I think they'll have a great chance. And I do think he's going to use the portal well. And I do think he's still going to be able to recruit really good players in high school. But I do think Gonzaga needs to win a national championship in the next 3 to 5 years. And if they do not, it will be extremely difficult. Unless Mark Few coaches a lot longer, or if he's able to have a successor at Gonzaga that continues to have him playing at a high level, and they're able to really bring in great players. And if they can do that, then you never know. But Gonzaga, to your point, Judy Williams, I would like to see Mark Few win it as well because he's a great head coach. He deserves it because he's been so close, so agonizingly close, and he's just fell short. So it will be interesting to see if Mark Few finally gets that first national title this season. But again, if UConn doesn't do it, somebody's getting a new title. I mean, it could be Florida Atlantic. It could be San Diego State. It could be Miami, Texas. Who knows? It's going to be really interesting for sure. I think that, again, the chaos has been awesome this year. If you like chaos, if you're not a fan of a certain team, or you're not betting on a game where you have to have a team win, and you're just watching these games and you're seeing all these upsets, it's unbelievable. I know some people would say once you have all these upsets, it gets kind of boring. I don't think so. I think it's still amazing every time it happens because it still doesn't happen very often. I mean, you still look at it, a lot of the big teams are still there. You have a couple of the lower seeds, but it's just been an amazing tournament. It's been one of the best tournaments of recent memory. I think all the March Madnesses are great, but just the way this tournament's been, there's been so many great games, so many great upsets, and it's just been an amazing tournament to watch. And we still got more games. This is only the Elite Eight. We've got 2 big games tomorrow. We've got the Final Four and then the National Championship game, and it's all over. But then we can look forward to next season. Or if you're an NBA person, you got the NBA still. But it has been amazing. This Elite Eight today has been fantastic. The Florida Atlantic K-State game earlier was insane. A back-and-forth game. Looked like K-State had it the whole way. And then Florida Atlantic pulled that one out. And then this game right now, UConn with the lead. UConn up 7. But again, Gonzaga could come back. And it's really going to be interesting to see what happens in the second half. Jeff says, I agree also with Judy Williams with Mark Few. Again, definitely going to be really interesting to see if Mark Few can get that first national title. But Dan Hurley, he's building something at UConn. I mean, they're a really good team. They're getting recruits, too. UConn is starting to recruit really well. They're in the Big East, a basketball conference. Dan Hurley is right at home right now with UConn. I think the UConn Huskies are in great shape for the future. They're set up for a lot of success. And with the Big East right now, you don't have Jay Wright at Villanova anymore. Yeah, you got Rick Pitino at St. John's, which that could be a problem for the next few years. But still, Marquette, good basketball team. But I think that UConn is in a really good position to have a lot of success in the Big East with Dan Hurley. If he continues to coach at this level, if he continues to have his players playing at this level, and he's able to really start getting high-level recruits to UConn, the Huskies could be good for a long time to come. He's a younger head coach as well. He's like 50, 51 years old, has a lot of years in college basketball at coaching ahead of him. He's a really emphatic head coach. He really builds up the fans. He builds up his players. So a very energetic guy. I think that UConn could have a lot of success. But again, for Gonzaga, Mark Few on the older side, but still has a lot of fire in him. Definitely really gets his team playing high-level basketball game in and game out. But it's going to be really interesting to see who plays better in the second half. Gonzaga's going to have to play a great second half to pull out this one unless UConn just collapses. But the Huskies are playing great basketball. And I think a key thing for UConn, looking at this game, is the fact that Adama Sanogo only has 6 points and they're up by 7. That goes to show you UConn has depth. They don't have a lot of elite players. Outside of Adama Sanogo and maybe Jordan Hawkins, the rest of their players don't even average over 10 points. But they have 5 or 6 guys that are all solid. Andre Jackson, Tristan Newton, Naheem Aline, over and over, all these guys, the depth pieces for UConn are incredible. Alex Caravan. I just think overall, you look at the roster, Adama Sanogo takes up so much attention, but he's gotten so much better at passing the basketball to his teammates, especially to Andre Jackson. His connection with him in the first half has been incredible. And I think that's definitely helped out UConn in this game, getting a lot of easy buckets, and then they're starting to knock some threes down. But Gonzaga, again, they showed on screen in the first half. Gonzaga's guards, starting guards in the NCAA tournament combined, are averaging 10 points a game. Drew Timme bailed out Gonzaga against UCLA by playing a fantastic game, scoring 36 points. And yes, Julian Strawther gets a lot of the attention in that game, and deservedly so, because without his 3, Gonzaga don't win that game. So I completely agree why he gets a lot of the attention. but Drew Timme had 36 points. And that is definitely, in a way, not a good sign for Gonzaga. It's awesome he played that well. But I think you look at it, you need more production from the teammates. You need way more production from his teammates. I think Gonzaga has a solid team, but at times some of their rotational players just don't show up. That's why they lost to Loyola Marymount in the West Coast Conference. That's why they lost to St. Mary's the first time around. Gonzaga is a great basketball team, but when they're making shots, the rest of the players on the team are making shots, then Gonzaga is a really good team. But in this game so far, UConn's been doing that more often than Gonzaga. The rotational players are scoring more. And I think that's definitely a key. Jeff says UConn could wind up being a powerhouse. I think so. The way that they're recruiting right now in the Big East and the way there's no more Jay Wright in the Big East, it is definitely possible UConn can end up being a powerhouse. They have a really great basketball team right now. And it's the history as well. They have 4 national titles. Jim Calhoun built a great program at UConn. I think that overall, the way the Big East is set up right now, they could have a lot of success. And it will be very interesting to see for sure. Frederick Gross is laughing out loud on that. He says Timme getting a championship. Thanks for being here, Frederick. Again, it could happen. Drew Timme, he could go into beast mode in the second half, have a big game. He could have a huge game. So you never know. It could be possible. But I think overall, you look at both of these teams playing high-level basketball, it should be a game that goes wire to wire. Larry's here. Thanks for being here, Larry. You're doing a great job. Keep it going, bro. Thanks so much for being here, Larry. Thanks for the compliment. You guys are awesome. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Frederick, not a big fan of Danny Hurley. But overall, I think that UConn's still doing a great job. But Gonzaga, if they play a good second half, they can get the job done. I don't think Gonzaga is nowhere near being out of this game. But again, thanks so much for the compliment, Larry. Thanks to everyone for being here. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Share the stream out on social media. But more importantly, thanks everyone for being here tonight so far. It's been a great stream. It's been a lot of high-flying action in basketball so far in this Elite Eight. I think that first game set up wildly so for this game to be great as well. Definitely an omen. You look at Florida Atlantic beating Kansas State in a classic, in a thriller. Definitely suggests that this game will probably be a game that could go down to the wire as well. I hope it does. I hope it's a great game. Unfortunately, somebody's got to lose, and that's another thing. It's so tough when you have March Madness like this. It's so tough because somebody's got to lose, and seeing the tears, the sadness, it's tough to watch. You know, every year, sometimes, especially when they're seniors, or even if they're a one and done, they'll never get to play again. But it's really sad with the seniors that played for 4 years and they're out of the tournament. It is so tough. And that realization hits, the final buzzer sounds, and is it, and you're on the losing side. It is one of the toughest things to watch as a college basketball fan. But still, you know, you lost. It was a great game. Especially if you lose close. I mean, there's no shame in losing close. It's so sad to see. But March Madness is still amazing. The sport is awesome. And I love overall watching March Madness every year. You guys are so awesome as well. Thanks, everyone, for being here. But again, I think that March Madness is one of the best things in all of sports. The way the tournament's set up, all these teams having a chance to win the same thing. You know, winning the national title. All these teams get the same equal chance from the 16 seeds to the ones. They might not be balanced with the talent, but I think basketball is a sport where a lot of smaller teams have more of a chance to win it. But overall, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the second half. I think a lot of people could potentially, you know, find a way to think that UConn's already got this game wrapped up, but it's nowhere near done. And for sure, Frederick, you're absolutely right. The best thing in sports. 100%. I mean, I think you can make an argument, especially if you're not a basketball fan, that there's something else that's better. I mean, the NBA playoffs are awesome. The 7-game series, you know, you have it where you have all those games for the team to have a chance to win. You got to win 4 of the 7. But usually the best team does end up winning because you could have a bad game and you lose one. But the best team usually wins most of the time. And then you look at the NFL, great playoff as well. College football, bowl season's awesome. And you have, you know, obviously the college football playoff, even though a lot of people think it's unbalanced with the teams that win it every year. But again, March Madness is one of the most unique things. And there are a lot of other sports as well, a lot of other tournaments. So somebody will like something better. I mean, I'm not going to argue whether some tournament's better or not, but March Madness is one of the greatest things of all time. That is undeniable, complete fact, because of the way it's set up with all these teams having a chance. There's definitely so many other great tournaments, and I love watching sports in general, and I'm sure all you guys do as well. I think all of the tournaments are unique. I think all of the setups are unique, but you just can't beat March Madness. And we're about to be able to watch the second half of this great basketball game, the Elite Eight, UConn Gonzaga. The Huskies up 39-32 over Gonzaga. Drew Timme got 2 fouls, and he had to sit out the last couple minutes of that first half. That was tough for Gonzaga, but they hung in there. But UConn was trying to pull away. There was a couple of moments where like the Huskies were about to pull away, but Gonzaga hung around. And it will be interesting to see, can Gonzaga get back in this game, take the lead, and find a way to win just like they did against UCLA, or will the Huskies stay ahead? Could the Huskies stay ahead? It's going to be really interesting to see for sure. But 39-32, UConn with a 7-point lead, and Alex Karaban to inbound the basketball, and he gets it to Andre Jackson. 19:55 to go in the second half. Huskies up 7 with the ball. Adama Sanogo kicks to Tristan Newton. Out to Alex Karaban, down to Adama Sanogo on the left block. He's filling out Anton Watson, trying to drive in. He's banging in there. He's driving up, and he loses the basketball. What a strip by Anton Watson. Almost poked from behind, but Drew Timme with the ball now. And they call an offensive foul on Drew Timme. That's his third foul. I don't know. I mean, that one's close. He was moving. The defender was moving as well, but he did barrel himself into the lane. I don't know. I don't know if that's a charge. That could have been a block, possibly. I mean, he was straight, but Timme was trying to turn. That's really tough. But Newton really wasn't moving too much, so I can see it a little bit. But Larry says, what was Timme thinking? Yeah, I don't like that move by Timme. You've got 2 fouls. You've got to be careful. Now, there's not much he can do on the defensive side of the ball unless he wants to pick another foul. That's going to be really tough. But Alex Karaban with the ball now for UConn. He takes a tough 2, and he knocks down the floater. 41-32 UConn. Not the start Gonzaga was looking for. Gonzaga misses a 3 on the other end. That's not a good sign for the Bulldogs. Largest lead for UConn tonight. Jordan Hawkins for 3, and he knocks it down. UConn's now up by 12. That is bad news for Gonzaga. And Mark Few promptly calls his second timeout. Definitely the timeout that he needed right there. 18:57 to go in the second half. And Frederick says, need a turnover. Yeah, if Gonzaga doesn't get some stops, it could be bad. That is not the start you're looking for. You get the third foul on Drew Timme. And then UConn gets 2 quick buckets. And now the 7-point deficit is now 12 for Gonzaga. Not the start Mark Few was looking for. Really good timeout. You have to call a timeout. Try to settle the team down, which you would have hoped that for Gonzaga, that's what the halftime would have done. But it's interesting. You need a turnover, need a timeout, anything that you could possibly do to get Gonzaga back in this game. Because right now, UConn is rolling. The Huskies, they're making all the shots. And see, again, it's not Adama Sanogo. That's what's so key for UConn right now. If UConn, all of their offense was Adama Sanogo scoring, like Drew Timme was against UCLA, then you would be saying, well, at least it's their star player. He's making all the shots. That's why they're winning. UConn's getting all these contributions from Alex Karaban, Jordan Hawkins, Tristan Newton. These other guys are making shots. Adama Sanogo is 6 points. That's not sustainable for Gonzaga. If UConn keeps hitting all of these shots from their other players, UConn's going to win because there's going to be too many players scoring. Gonzaga's relying too much on Timme. The other players aren't making shots right now. Strother's cold. The other players are missing shots. Drew Timme now has 3 fouls. He's going to be limited on the defensive end. And if Adama Sanogo starts getting going now that Drew Timme's in foul trouble, things could get really tough for Gonzaga. But obviously still tons of time. Nowhere near being over. Gonzaga just has to settle it down. And if they can still get back in this game and find a way to win. But right now, overall, UConn is in cruise control right now. They are doing great on the offensive and the defensive end. They're out hustling Gonzaga. They're making their shots. And even though this game is far from over, it's definitely looking really good for UConn. Frederick says Timmy can stay in veteran. You have to keep him in. At this point in the game, you're down 12. You got to keep him in. It would almost be if he had 4 fouls, you'd have to keep him in, even though Mark Few would take him out, and he should, but he has to be in the game because the other players aren't making shots. Drew Timmy has to touch the basketball to either score or pass the ball away. That's all Gonzaga can do. They have to get the ball to him. He demands a lot of attention, and then he's going to have to kick the ball out for some threes and hope his team makes shots if he's not able to get a bucket. And it's going to be really interesting. And UConn's going to do everything they possibly can to get Drew Timmy that 4th foul to put the big pressure on him. But right now, definitely the start the UConn Huskies were looking for. Larry says, I don't see the Zags getting enough stops to keep this close. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think it's over by a long shot. Still a lot of time left in this basketball game. 18:57 to go in the second half. Second half just started. But overall, things are not looking good for the Bulldogs. Anton Watson gets the ball to Drew Timmy with 3 fouls. And the Huskies are on an 8-0 run going back from that first half. Nolan Hickman with the ball has been really quiet for Gonzaga. Now to Anton Watson. Now down to Timmy. Driving on Adama Sanogo. And they call a foul on Sanogo. It's a good move by Timmy. Didn't get an offensive foul called on him. It was just backing down, trying to draw a foul. It's probably a good strategy. 18:41 to go in the second. Frederick says, and he's the star who should be on an NBA team. I think Timmy's a good player for sure. Julian Strawther's driving in. Wow, that definitely could have been a foul. That's interesting. Julian Strawther got hit a little bit. They did not call the foul. UConn basketball. Jordan Hawkins, he misses a 3. That definitely would have been a big dagger for Gonzaga if it was a 15-point game, but he misses the shot. Nolan Hickman's driving in. Behind the back pass to Timmy for the dunk. What a play. 44-34. What a behind the back pass by Nolan Hickman. If he's got that in him, he needs to do it more often for the Bulldogs if they want to win. What a play. Drew Timmy up to 11 points. Tristan Newton with the basketball. Kicks to Adama Sanogo. Newton's driving. The ECU transfer. Back out to Jordan Hawkins for 2. He misses the shot. And they call it off of Gonzaga. What a play by Andre Jackson kicking the ball off of Timmy. So it's still UConn basketball. But what a behind-the-back pass to Timmy. That was a great play. Frederick says Timmy's a vet, 100%. Drew Timmy is a veteran basketball player, a great player. One of the best players in college basketball and in Gonzaga history, if not the best. You can make definitely an argument there. Jordan Hawkins driving in, kicks to Andre Jackson for UConn. It looks like Gonzaga starting to hustle a bit more on the defensive end. 17:40 to go in the second. Adama Sanogo driving in on Anton Watson, and he misses the shot. Julian Strawther with the rebound. But I think they do call a foul on Gonzaga. Interesting. Mark Few is not happy. He's looking in disbelief right now. On that rebound attempt, they call a foul. Larry says also the oldest laughing all. Yeah, he's been there for a while. Sometimes the older players are the best in college. But I do think they called a foul on Gonzaga on that rebound attempt. That's tough. Frederick says maybe Adam Morrison's better. It's possible. I mean, Adam Morrison had a lot of success. He was a great player. Obviously did not have probably the NBA career that a lot of people were expecting him to have. But, hey, he won some rings. It's all that matters. But still, great player. But him and Drew Timmy are the best of the best when it comes to Gonzaga players. Throughout their history have had a lot of success. But right now, they're reviewing a play. I don't know if they're looking at Drew Timmy for a potential offensive foul. But if they call that on Drew Timmy, that'll be his 4th. I don't know if it's particularly an offensive foul. I mean, it's just 2 guys battling for the ball, but they're definitely reviewing it. And if they call that foul on Drew Timmy, that would be bad news for Gonzaga. Be his 4th foul. With 17:39 to go in the second. They're reviewing it. It will be interesting to see what the refs call. And they do call it. The 4th foul on Drew Timmy. Oh, no. For Gonzaga, that is the worst news you could possibly ask for. And Timmy's going to the bench. Gonzaga down 10. This is definitely going to test Gonzaga's mettle. his teammates are going to have to make some shots if Gonzaga is going to have any chance. Because right now, UConn's playing great basketball. They don't have players in foul trouble. The Huskies are doing a great job in this game. Adama Sanogo, he gets the ball back from Alex Karaban. He lays it in. What a play by Adama Sanogo. He probably can dominate in this game now. James Scott says, I guess it was an elbow. It was for sure. I see the offensive foul, but that is a tough call. Really tough call for Gonzaga. UConn definitely in good shape now with Timmy out of the game, and Sanogo can probably dominate on the glass and on layups because Gonzaga does not have the post depth behind Timmy. Ben Gregg's been a solid player. Anton Watson as well in the post, but Drew Timme is definitely their main option. That's really tough to get the fourth foul on Timmy right there. Anton Watson, he's driving in for Gonzaga. And he gets a foul call. Looks like Gonzaga will be shooting some free throws. Jeff says he doesn't agree on the foul. It could go either way. It's so tough because of the fact it's Timmy's fourth. And you're in this magnitude of a game and Gonzaga's down. It's really tough. I could go either way on it. I could see it not being called. I could see it being called. It's just two guys hustling for the ball. It's a really tough call. But no free throws. They called the foul on the floor. So Gonzaga will... Okay, now they're not calling it on the floor. I think Anton Watson's going to the line now. That's crazy. It looked like were having Gonzaga inbound the basketball. I thought it was a foul on a shot. Then they were inbounding it. Now I think they're shooting free throws again. So 17:07 left in the second half. And I think Gonzaga's at the foul line. Down 12 on UConn. Anton Watson at the foul line. He shoots a decent percentage. 17:07 left in the second. And he misses the first. He's not the greatest free throw shooter, but he can knock him down. But that's tough. Gonzaga needs free throws right now. You're down 12 points in this game. No Drew Timme. You need all the points you can get. But Anton Watson still has another free throw to try to cut it to 11. Watson has 4.6 rebounds so far in this game, and he misses them both. That's not the time for two missed free throws. Andre Jackson for UConn with 3 fouls. Jordan Hawkins for 3, and he knocks it down. UConn's up 49-34 on Gonzaga. 16:50 to go in the second. Drew Timme with 4 fouls. Where's the offense going to come from for the Bulldogs? Julian Strother with the ball. Kicks to Anton Watson on the left block. Another turnover. Naheem Aline driving for UConn. Naheem Aline goes up. He lays it in and one. UConn is blown open this game. 51-34. 16:39 to go in the second. And Drew Timme can do nothing. He's on the sideline with 4 fouls. This game's gone from bad to worse for the Bulldogs. Larry says the refs are messing this game up. Well, it's definitely been a physical game. A lot of calls some people probably don't like, but this is tough. Gonzaga in a lot of trouble. Naheem Aline at the line. He knocks it down, and UConn is now up by 18 points. Frederick says 50% from the line night. Worst game they played all year. Yeah, Gonzaga is just struggling right now. 8-0 run for UConn. 16:30 to go in the second half. The Bulldogs do not have Drew Timme, which is the main point of their offense. Rasir Bolton for 3. He knocks it down. Big shot. Angelo says, hello from Canada. Thanks for being here, Angelo. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But thanks, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much, Angelo, for coming on the stream, watching this game. It's starting to get away from Gonzaga. Down by 15. But Gonzaga gets another stop. 15:50 to go in the second half. Rasir Bolton's driving the ball down the floor. Ben Gregg kicks it down to Hunter Salas, who should have went up with it the first time, but he tried to draw a foul. He does get the foul, but no free throws because they called the foul on the floor. Larry says these are some soft calls. Yeah, I agree on some of them. Some of them have been tough, though. Both teams are being really physical. Some of them have been soft, but it's been very physical play by both teams. But UConn is really starting to run away with this one. Frederick says they needed 3. Talking about Gonzaga. They did just get one from Rasir Bolton, but they're going to need a lot more where that came from because they're down big in this game. It is tough. You look at UConn right now. Everything's going their way. They got Drew Timme in foul trouble. They're making threes. They're getting turnovers on UConn. And now Adama Sanogo doesn't have to worry about Timme, and he's getting some shots on the block. It's going to be very tough once Donovan Klingman comes in the game in the second half, because Gonzaga has nobody to be able to slow him down. It's going to be really interesting. I think the only way Gonzaga comes back in this game is if they can somehow find a way to stay within around the 10 to 12 mark without Timme, maybe cut it to around 8. They're going to have to find a way to hope UConn starts missing shots, and then Drew Timme comes back in the game. He cannot foul out, and he's just going to have to take over in the second half once he's back in the game. But if not, UConn's going to run away with this one because they're playing great basketball. Dan Hurley's doing a great job. You look at UConn, they're making shots, they're rebounding, they're out hustling Gonzaga. They're not in foul trouble outside of Andre Jackson with 3. Everything's going UConn's way right now. They're playing great basketball. Larry says the block charge foul should be outlawed, laughing out loud. One thing about the block charge that's just so tough is because of the inconsistency of the rule. You look at some players, like Drew Timme, that third foul on him, he technically tried to go to the side. He tried to go to the side, and you could argue Tristan Newton wasn't straight completely, but they called a charge. But it is what it is. I think the block charge is a tough call because of the fact it's a very inconsistent call. You can point to countless situations where a play's a block that you're like, oh, that should be a charge, and a play's a charge where it should be a block. And every game, the call is called differently. Sometimes even in the same game, it's called differently. And I think that's just where it's tough. Larry says it's too arbitrary. Again, it's just a very tough call to call. It's very inconsistent game in and game out, and I think that's what makes it so frustrating. There's a lot of sports that have a call or two that's just tough. I mean, you technically have to have it because you can't have a guy barreling in the lane and there's tons of contact and then, oh, there's no foul call or it's just a regular foul. I mean, you have to have offensive foul. But I think for an offensive foul, the player needs to be completely straight and you barrel right into him. And in that scenario, that's an offensive foul. It needs to be more consistent. But it's interesting. And like Larry said, it's like holding in football. Yes, because you see a lot of times there's some holding and it's not called, or there's not a lot of holding and it's called. It's just it's a call that is going to be inconsistent. Sports are just going to be that way. Unfortunately, as awesome as sports are, not all calls are going to be perfect. It does make it frustrating as fans, especially when you're a fan of a team that you don't feel like is getting the best calls in a game, but it definitely is what it is. But right now, UConn up by 15 over Gonzaga. They are blowing this thing open. The Huskies are playing great basketball. They were only up 7 at the half, and then they blew it open to 18. Gonzaga's hit a 3 to cut it to 15. But Gonzaga's going to need a lot more to get back in this game. And Drew Timme with 4 fouls. That's tough. He's on the bench. You definitely can tell he's upset, wants to be back in the game. But Mark Few has to have him out right now. Julian Strawther for 2, and his shot goes in and out. He is not making shots in this game. That was a really good look, but couldn't knock it down. Andre Jackson kicks in the corner to Tristan Newton. He thought about the 3, but UConn trying to slow this thing back out. I think to take better shots, you don't want to rush a 3. You've got a big lead. Take really good shots. 15:30 to go in the second. And Tristan Newton in the lane. And again, UConn with no post presence, allowing Tristan Newton into the lane and getting an easy layup. That's not going to work for Gonzaga. Ben Gregg in the corner for 3, and he misses the shot. Gonzaga now starting to chunk up some 3s, trying to get back in this one, not making the shots. And Newton back in the lane and a foul on Gonzaga. Buckeye Mike says, what's up, everyone? Thanks for being here, Buckeye Mike. But right now, UConn blowing this thing open on Gonzaga. 15:07 to go in the second half. Buckeye says, seems like I'm about to win 20. That's cool. He says, let's go Huskies. Huskies looking really good right now. Tristan Newton with 6 points, 6 rebounds, and he's at the foul line for 2 free throws. He's missed a couple free throws in this game, but he knocks this one down. A lot easier to hit free throws when you're in the lead. And UConn has a big lead, 55-37. Sanogo is 10 points and 10 rebounds. He's got a double-double. And he's only has 10 points, but UConn's up 18. That's huge. And Newton for the second free throw, and he knocks it down, 56-37. UConn up by 19. 15 to go in the second half. And Donovan Klingman's in the game now for the Huskies. And that's going to be a big, tough matchup problem for Ben Gregg. Hunter Salas in the corner for 3 for Gonzaga, and another miss for the Bulldogs. They're not going to be able to keep shooting these 3s if they're not making them. Andre Jackson laying to Naheem Aline. Naheem Aline's laying it in. See, UConn's driving. They're getting layups. Gonzaga's shooting threes, and another timeout by Gonzaga. It's a really good timeout for Mark Few, but I don't know if there's much he can do here. 14:44 to go in the second half. Gonzaga with only one timeout left now. Mark Few's trying to do everything he possibly can, but it is not looking good. Bucka Mike says, you're welcome, man. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Frederick says, and now it's 21. Yeah, I mean, I think overall, I've seen so much basketball. You guys have seen so much basketball that we know no lead is safe. It's still possible Gonzaga could come back. But the way that this game's trending, the way Gonzaga is just shooting threes aimlessly, not hitting them, even though some of them are good looks, but they're not making the shots. You got to drive the basketball when you're not making shots. And right now, Gonzaga's just shooting threes. UConn, on the other hand, driving into the lane, hitting layups. That is really good for UConn. Just to get in the lane, hit the easy shots. I mean, you don't even have to think about it. I'm just going to drive in. Gonzaga's not stopping me. I'm going to lay it in. And I think that that's great for UConn. And Gonzaga outscored 14-3 since Drew Timme left the game at the 17-minute mark. And it looks like right now, the way this game's trending, it could get a whole lot worse before it gets better. UConn could start pulling this thing out even more. It is not looking good for Gonzaga in any way, shape, or form. Julian Strawther with the basketball. He's been really quiet in this game. Now it's out to Ben Gregg. Julian Strawther's trying to drive, and that's a good decision for Gonzaga. Drive in the lane, lay it in. And they might have caught a foul on UConn as well. So Julian Strawther, I think, will have an and one opportunity here. But that's what Gonzaga needs to do. Get in the lane. You've got talented players. Drive the ball in the lane. Make some layups. That's what UConn's doing, and they're doing a really good job of it. Dan Hurley has to be proud of his team, but they do not give Julian Strawther that layup. They call the foul before the shot. That's tough. So Gonzaga's still down 21. And you look at Frederick, he says, got to roll the dice with Timme, and they do bring Timme in. Buckeye says, after this game, half our Final Four will be set for sure. Well, it looks like wearing my Fort Atlantic shirt today worked. Definitely. But Frederick says, got to roll the dice with Timme. They bring him back in the game, and Timme misses a layup. Timme had a great look. Gonzaga still down 21. Donovan Klingman down low, and it's a big dunk for UConn. What a dunk by 7'2" Donovan Klingman. 60-37 UConn. 14 to go in the second half. UConn's on a roll. Gonzaga's deficit keeps growing. Hunter Salas is driving in the lane. He kicks it back out to Nolan Hickman. Nolan Hickman with the basketball. 13:58 to go in the second half. To Hunter Salas. He's driving. And what a block by Donovan Klingman. Kicks or squids after the UCLA game. I need to wait till the end to see who wins the UConn Gonzaga game. Never know. I mean, again, I 100% agree with you, Gix or Squid, but the deficit is very large right now. A 23-point deficit for Gonzaga. Anything's possible, but they need to find a way to get back in the game now. And another block by Donovan Klingman, but they do call a foul on him this time on the block. Might have got a little bit of arm that time. Refs called the foul. And Gonzaga will be shooting some free throws this time around. 13:47 to go in the second half. And Malachi Smith will be shooting free throws. Gonzaga probably just needs to keep driving into the lane, hope they get fouled, make some free throws, hit some shots, because I don't think they can shoot their way back in this one. They're not making threes. But Malachi Smith with 5 points, and he hits the first free throw, 60-38. 13:47 to go in the second. Edward, thanks for being here. Edward, he says, well, Gonzaga's done. They need a miracle to beat UConn without Timme. UConn center is a force. Yeah, Donald Sanogo, one of the most underrated bigs in the country. Not talked about enough. Great player. Malachi Smith at the line for the second free throw after he hit the first, and he hits both. So Gonzaga cuts the lead to 21, 60-39, 13:45 to go in the second. UConn as a team has 16 assists and 3 turnovers. When you got that, you're probably winning. Andre Jackson almost turned over to Tristan Newton for 3, and he misses. Probably not a good shot by Tristan Newton. A little bit early in the shot clock. That was a really tough shot. Probably shouldn't have taken that one, but you're up by 21, feeling confident, think you can knock it down. You were open, but probably not a good decision. Buckeye Mike says, what another great night. Saw John Wick 4 earlier, ate my dinner, watching the awesome Jeffrey and watching Shark and Auto Moves. No better way to spend an evening. Thanks for being here, Buckeye Mike. Thanks for the compliment, but thanks everyone for being here tonight. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, but more importantly, thanks everyone for being here tonight. Got a great game, even though Gonzaga is struggling. No field goals for the Bulldogs in the last 3 minutes, and they have a 21-point hole on the UConn Huskies. 13:20 to go in the second half. It's 60-39 UConn, but Gonzaga with the ball. Drew Timme with 4 fouls is in the game. Julian Strother for 3, and he misses. Strother is just not making the shots he was making against UCLA. The rest of the team is just not making shots. Timme's not having the game that he had against UCLA. And Gonzaga overall is just not making shots. As a team, they shoot 38% from 3, and tonight they're shooting 14%. That's not going to get it done. The team that shoots better from the outside has a really good chance to win, and UConn's making a lot more threes. They're hitting a lot more big shots. With 12:50 to go in the second, and they do call an offensive foul on UConn. I think on Naheem Aline. That's a tough foul for UConn. But Gonzaga's still down big. As Jeff says, the Zags are running out of time. 100%. Again, crazy things have happened. Still potentially plenty of time for Gonzaga to get back in this one. Naheem Aline now with 3 fouls, but still, Gonzaga running out of time for sure. And Drew Timme loses the basketball. UConn running the floor. Joey Calcaterra to Andre Jackson. He misses the layup. But Donovan Kleeman gets it back and lays it in. UConn is just out hustling Gonzaga, 62-39. And now you've got Nolan Hickman for 3, and he misses. Gonzaga's taking bad shots. Malachi Smith with the ball. They did get the offensive rebound. But Gonzaga down by 23, 12 to go in the game, and they do call a foul on Donovan Klingman. He was trying to get the block, but they call a foul on him. But UConn up big anyway. Edwards says Timme looks rattled after that 4th foul. I agree. He looks like not himself. Looks a little worried about picking up his 5th. He's turned it over a couple of times. But Malachi Smith at the line, he has 7 points tonight. And he misses the first free throw. Frederick says, yeah, Michigan State, Iowa. Yeah, they would need to come back like that. And he says Gonzaga can't hit the line or rebound. They're just struggling all over the floor. They take Drew Timme out right now, 12:09 to go. It's his last game. It will be interesting, for sure, with Drew Timme, how his NBA career goes. I think he could have a lot of success. He's improved in a lot of areas that could definitely help out his NBA career, but this will be tough if this is his last college game, if Gonzaga can't come back. Malachi Smith, he does hit the second free throw, but Gonzaga has missed several free throws in this game. But the way Gonzaga is playing, it might not matter, even if they were hitting them. UConn with a big, commanding 22-point lead. 11:50 to go in the second half. UConn in cruise control. Probably be smart to slow this game down, limit possessions, take good shots. Joey Calcaterra for 3, and he knocks it down. And it is much easier to hit shots when you're ahead. And UConn right now is feeling it. Their players are confident. They're excited, and they can feel a Final Four. Nolan Hickman with the ball for Gonzaga. Down 25 for the Bulldogs. Julian Strother with the ball. He's driving into the lane. Larry says this is over. I mean, it's looking that way. It's unfortunate, especially with the great game that we had earlier with Florida Atlantic and Kansas State. That was a great game, but UConn Gonzaga, 65-40. 11:30 to go in the second half. And the UConn Huskies are dominating this basketball game. Kudos to UConn. Kudos to Dan Hurley. They're playing great. And Adama Sanogo hasn't even had to dominate. Again, that's the key. Adama Sanogo is a great player, but he hasn't even had to score most of the points because UConn's other players are making shots. Buckeye Mike says UConn to the Final Four. It's looking like it. Larry says the Zags can't create turnovers. They can't do anything right now. They can't make shots. They can't make free throws. They can't get turnovers. They can't get stops. And that's why Gonzaga's down big. That's the only way you can be down big is if you're not doing the things that you need to do to be able to win. And it's really unfortunate. It stinks for Drew Timme. It stinks for Mark Few. But yet again, what UConn is doing in this basketball game is actually incredible because a lot of people would probably say that you need a lot of points from Adama Sanogo. You need a dominant game, 30 points to win. He's got 10. He has 10 points. His teammates have stepped up and made big shots, even getting contributions from Naheem Aleem and Joey Calcaterra, two players that don't even score that much. It's insane. I think it's a really good sign for UConn that they're getting so many contributions from their other players, and I think that will definitely help out the Huskies if they win this game in the Final Four or possibly in the national championship game if they can get there. Because UConn is getting so many contributions from all their players. They're playing as a team. This is team basketball. And they're doing a great job of playing basketball as a team in this game. Frederick says Gonzaga has 8 points this half, and UConn has a whole lot more. As you look at it, they were only up 7 at the half, UConn was. And now they're up by 25. So, yeah, they're definitely outscoring Gonzaga big in the second half. Buckeye Mike says Creighton or San Diego State. That could be a really good game. I think a lot of people would still lean Creighton because of the fact, they're the Big East, they're the Power 6 school. But San Diego State is dangerous. Great Mountain West team. They've had a great year. I think they could win. I think San Diego State can win. I have a really hard time right now picking that game because I thought Gonzaga would play much better. I thought UConn really could win, but, it is what it is. This game is definitely not gone the way a lot of people were expecting. I think a lot of people thought Gonzaga could win over UConn or that it would be a really close game, but it makes it tough to pick a Creighton San Diego State. You just don't know what's going to happen, but I think you look at that game, it could go either way. I think Creighton has more talent on paper, but I think San Diego State is the really great head coach, and Brian Dutcher. Greg McDermott's good in his own right for Creighton. But both teams have a lot of talent, but it should be interesting. Frederick says yes, but his presence with Timmy out is enormous. Double team kickouts for sure. You're 100% right. But still, even when Timmy was in the game, UConn was just making shots. I agree with you, Frederick. You're absolutely correct. With Timmy out, it's made it a lot harder. But I do think it's been just a dominating effort overall by UConn with Timmy in or out of the game. Gonzaga is just not doing that well overall. And now that Timmy's back in the game with 4 fouls, he just doesn't look like the same player. He's turning the basketball over himself. He's not making shots, and UConn's dominating. Now Julian Strother, he's at the line. This is about the only thing Gonzaga can do right now is get to the free throw line. But Julian Strother, he does hit the first to cut the lead to 24. 11:30 to go in the second, and Strother, he hits the second. So it's 65-42. UConn up by 23. 11:30 to go in the second half. Joey Calcaterra with the ball. He had a big 3 for UConn on their last possession. But if you're UConn, slow this game down. Limit the possessions. Don't want to give Gonzaga a lot of chances. And I think that's what UConn's going to do. The shot clock's already at 15. And UConn, they said, has this plus 62-point differential in the second half of the NCAA tournament. They've done a great job on that front in the second half. And Jordan Hawkins gets fouled on a 3. The worst thing that Gonzaga could possibly do is foul UConn on a 3. And now Jordan Hawkins will have 3 free throws. Larry says the talent's even, but Coach Mark Few just can't win a chip. You definitely have a point there. I think that the talent is fairly even in this game, but for whatever reason, Mark Few just cannot get over the hump. It's tough. I mean, I think Mark Few is a great coach, and he's had a lot of success at Gonzaga. And if he does not ever win a national championship, I don't think it's going to really, affect the way people think of him as a coach at all, because he's done a great job. But it is really unfortunate if he's not able to ever win one. But the talent, I think, is even in this game. Both teams are really good, but Gonzaga's just really struggling in this game all around from the jump. But Jordan Hawkins, he goes 2 of 3 at the line. He misses the last free throw, but hit the first 2. 67-42 UConn, and Gonzaga hasn't hit a field goal in 5.5 minutes. Anton Watson with the ball. He's driving in the lane. It's under 10:50 to go in the second half. Timmy kicks to Nolan Hickman. Anton Watson down low, and Anton Watson for 2. 67-44, but UConn still with a big commanding 23-point lead. 10:30 to go in the second. Nolan Hickman has 5 assists. He has no points, but he is trying to get in the assist action. There's a turnover. UConn turns the basketball over. Malachi Smith to Julian Strother. He kicks to Nolan Hickman in the corner. Gonzaga trying to hustle. Make some plays. Nolan Hickman for 3, and he misses. Big miss there. Jordan Hawkins with the basketball. Kicks to Alex Caravan, and UConn is slowing this thing back down. 10 to go in the second half. Gonzaga is shooting 13% from the three-point line. That is awful. They're a 38% free throw shooting team, and they're shooting 13%. But Joey Calcaterra for three for UConn, and he knocks down another three. 70-44 UConn, 9:50 to go in the second. What a shot from Joey Calcaterra. He's got 8 points. Anton Watson with the ball for Gonzaga. He's driving in. He goes up, and they call a foul. Donovan Kleeman's getting frustrated. They called another foul on him. Angelo said, looking forward to Miami versus Texas. I agree with you, Angelo. That should be a great game. I'm looking forward to that game as well. All these games have been really good. It's just unfortunate that this game isn't close. But again, all the credit to UConn for the way they're playing. Anton Watson at the line, and he misses the first. Gonzaga are not hitting the free throws. I know it's tough to hit free throws when you're down, but you got to make them. 9:40 to go in the second half. UConn has been dominating in this tournament. Won by 24 over Iona, 15 over St. Mary's, and 23 over Arkansas, and they're dominating Gonzaga. UConn has arguably been the best team in this tournament. 9:30 to go in the second half, and Anton Watson missed both free throws. Caravan has 4 fouls now for UConn, but Gonzaga is just missing free throws, not making shots, and it's 70-44, 9:20 to go in the second half. UConn passing the ball with Jordan Hawkins for 2. He misses the shot, and Timmy with the rebound. Can Timmy get anything going for Gonzaga? 9:10 to go in the second. Hunter Salas for 3. He misses. Jordan Hawkins with the rebound for UConn. Gonzaga cannot make a shot to save their life. Joey Calcaterra with the ball. 9 to go in the second half. Gonzaga's only hit 3 field goals in this second half. UConn's hit 11. That is a big, massive difference. But UConn, they now have Hassan Jar into the game. And Donovan Kleeman with the dunk off of Andre Jackson's pass. UConn is on fire. 72-44. 8:40 to go in the second. Adama Sanogo doesn't even have to be in the game, and Timmy misses it too. Klingman with the rebound. And this game is going from bad to worse to absolute nightmare for Gonzaga. Joey Calcaterra for 3. He does finally miss a shot for UConn. 8 to go in the second half. Strother driving in with the floater, and he misses another shot. UConn with the rebound. This is insane how big of a lead UConn has. Andre Jackson kicks it back out to Joey Calcaterra. And at this point, UConn just needs to use all of the shot clock. They have this game in absolute control, up by 28 points, 8 to go in the second half. Hassan Jar drives into Andre Jackson, out to Jordan Hawkins for 3, and UConn for 3, 75-44, 7:40 to go in the second. This is unbelievable how good UConn's playing. They've been dominant in this tournament, but they're on fire. 7:30 to go in the second. Gonzaga's only at 1 of their last 12 shots. Malachi Smith kicks to Hunter Salas. Drew Timmy with the ball. This is very unfortunate for him. Julian Strother for 3. He misses another shot. Andre Jackson with the ball. 7:20 to go in the second. And UConn just keeps pouring it on. They are on fire in this game. Andre Jackson with 8 points and 8 rebounds. And a timeout by UConn. Frederick said if Holmgren hadn't ruined his career and stayed, they'd win a ring. Well, I mean, if you look at Chet Holmgren, he got drafted high, so he had to go pro, but then he gets hurt. That's so tough for him. He's been out all of this time, but yeah, if he was bad, that would have been huge for Gonzaga, but this is just terrible for the Bulldogs. Gixer Squid said this is a blowout. Tired legs. I'm shocked at the spread. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, you would think with a game like this, it would be a 5-point game either way. Both teams going down to the wire, close game. Like whoever has the ball last potentially could win the game, but this is just a blowout. What a performance by UConn. James Scott says, I don't understand why Gonzaga isn't pressing harder on D. It's almost as if they've given up. It looks like it. I mean, you look at the way they play against UCLA. Gonzaga was down. They came back. They put the pressure on UCLA, got back in the game and won. But in this game, they're just not playing hard enough. I mean, I don't think that they're not trying, but they're not playing hard enough. You got to be able to rebound. And even in that first half, there were several possessions where UConn got multiple second chance opportunities. UConn was out hustling Gonzaga from the jump. And Gonzaga's just really struggling. Larry says this is getting embarrassing for sure. Frederick says bedtime. This is just nuts. Well, Frederick, if you're signing off for the night, thanks for being here, man. Thanks everyone for being here, but I definitely can see why, you definitely don't want to see the end of this one, especially if you're a Gonzaga fan. This is really tough. James Scott says Timmy just cannot make up for what the rest of his team isn't doing. And see, in the last game against UCLA, even though Gonzaga did win, it was an issue because he was dominant. Drew Timme had 36 points. But throughout the game, the rest of his team was really struggling. Yes, they woke up toward the end, and they started to hit some shots, especially Julian Strawther hit that big three to win the game. But I think that overall, you look at the way Gonzaga played in that game, it was way too much Drew Timme. And in this game, Drew Timme's not having his best game. He looks tired and exhausted from that last game. And the rest of his team is just not stepping up. No one's hitting shots. And that was the alarming thing from the last game. And UConn definitely looks like a team. It's much better team effort than what Gonzaga is providing. Frederick said it's a 31-point lead. Why bother? Take Timme out and cheer for him. Almost at this point, basically, that's what you got to do unless you just want to try to keep fighting. But it's just not looking good at all. James Scott said the problem is they didn't bother soon enough. And that they were definitely not getting the rebounds. And they were just falling behind so much, even early on. And they fell behind by too much. Frederick says, good night. You're a great play-by-play. Thanks, Frederick, for the compliment. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But thanks, everyone, for being here. Even though this game isn't close, it's still March Madness. It's still the Elite Eight. Not many basketball games left. Got to enjoy them while you can. But it has been a tough game, especially if you're a Gonzaga fan. It is awful to see for Gonzaga. But UConn, what a game for the Huskies. All around, Dan Hurley's done a fantastic job getting his team to believe they're playing hard. They've blown out every team in the tournament. And this has been the most impressive yet in the Elite Eight. The way they're playing, it's insane. It's just a really dominating performance. They've done a fantastic job. You cannot beat this performance from UConn. They're dominating. Just absolutely dominate. Every player that stepped on the floor for UConn has played well in this game. And UConn's on an 8-0 run in the last 3 minutes of this game. 7 to go in the second. UConn just dominating all over the floor. Every player. Adama Sanogo is back in the game. He hasn't even had to do too much. Jordan Hawkins, he does miss a three. Rasir Bolton with the rebound, driving down the floor, and he goes up. He lays it in, misses the shot. Timme goes up, and Timme gets fouled. So finally, Gonzaga has another chance to score, but it's from the free throw line. Gonzaga just can't make a shot. They're struggling to make shots right now all over the place. They just can't hit layups. They can't hit threes. No matter what they're putting up, they're not hitting shots. And I think Drew Timme's exhausted. 6:50 to go in the second half, and Drew Timme has 2 free throws. And Drew Timme misses the first, hits back iron. Again, a sign of fatigue. He's just throwing up that ball, and he can't hit it. Really tough. Drew Timme with the second free throw. Really got a feel for Timme. This is tough. He barely makes the second free throw. It's a 30-point game, 75-45. UConn up by 30, 6:45 to go in the second. What a performance from UConn, but Gonzaga all around just could not get their offense going at any point in this game, especially in the second half. Once they fell behind, it just looked like it was over. And UConn in cruise control, running the clock down to the end. Really smart basketball. Jordan Hawkins with the ball down to Adama Sanogo. Sanogo's going up. And I think they do call a foul on Gonzaga on Ben Gregg. Gixter Squid says, mentally, I think Gonzaga knew they barely beat UCLA. Anything after that is icing on the cake. They're not playing to win. They're playing on fumes. Yeah, they definitely look tired. Every player on that floor looks tired. No more than Drew Timme. Drew Timme's exhausted. It's really tough. And again, the way Gonzaga's recruiting in the future, they're going to have to do really good in the transfer portal. It's going to be really tough for Gonzaga to stay at the top of college basketball. I hope they can, because it'd be great for Mark Few to get a championship. But it's not looking good right now for Gonzaga at all in any way, shape, or form. And UConn now at the line. Sanogo, he hits the first free throw. It's 76-45. 6:26 to go in the second half. Sanogo's had a good game, but he's definitely has not had to be dominant. His teammates have done fantastic in this game. He hits both free throws, 77-45. 6:20 to go in the second. No field goals for Gonzaga in the last 4 minutes. Drew Timme misses a floater. Those are shots he was making against UCLA. 6 to go in the second half. UConn basketball. Tristan Newton with the ball, the ECU transfer. He's had a solid game. Jordan Hawkins down to Andre Jackson. Down to Adama Sanogo on the block on Drew Timme. And Sanogo goes up, and he's a little short. Defense from Timme. Hunter Salas with the basketball. Rasir Bolton, he fakes a three. 5:40 to go in the second half. And Rasir Bolton drives in the lane. He misses a two. Gonzaga just cannot get anything to drop. All the shots are going in and out. UConn basketball, Gonzaga still only hit 3 field goals in the second half. UConn's hit 13 shots. 5:30 to go in the second half. UConn in cruise control, still running the shot clock down, taking good shots. And UConn for 3, they missed the shot. Gonzaga with the rebound. Drew Timme bringing the ball up the floor to Hunter Salas, and Hunter Salas dribbles it off his foot. Nothing is going Gonzaga's way. James Scott says this is generally what happens in second half teams. You can win some games that way until you meet that one team that plays both halves well. Absolutely correct, James Scott. Sometimes you can't live life on the edge. You got to find a way to stay in a game, play well the whole game. You can't get down and expect to come back every single time. You're absolutely correct. They did it against UCLA, but they just are not able to do it in this one. 4:50 to go in the second half. A turnover from UConn. Hunter Salas down the floor, and he lays it in. He gets the roll. Gonzaga cuts it to 30, 77-47, 4:40 to go in the second. But you're absolutely right, James Scott. You got to play well both halves. You can't expect to be able to come back every time. Jeff says when Timme got in foul trouble, it was over. That is a completely accurate statement. Right when he left the game, the lead just ballooned for UConn. The Huskies just took over this game. Edwards said those players on the bench look like the game is already over. And that's tough, too. You would like, if you're Mark Few, he would really like to see Gonzaga really hustling and believing. I mean, obviously it's over now, but earlier in the game they still had a chance, but it just never seemed that Gonzaga felt they had a chance once Drew Timme got in foul trouble and they fell behind. Malachi Smith, he misses a floater. And UConn slowing the basketball down again with a dominant performance in this game in both halves, specifically the second half. They're up by 30. Andre Jackson at the free throw line. He's dribbling the ball around behind the back on Ben Gregg. And Andre Jackson, he almost loses the ball. Gets it to Jordan Hawkins. He misses the powerhouse dunk. Jordan Hawkins tried to dunk it. He gets the ball back, shoots a three. And Jordan Hawkins goes from missing the dunk to hitting a three. So still, even when UConn does something wrong, something goes right. Hawkins has 20 points. He's hit 6 threes in this game. Rasir Bolton for 3 for Gonzaga. He misses. Tristan Newton almost gets the rebound, and he does end up with it, with Alex Karaban getting the ball. 3:20 to go in the second half. And another timeout by Dan Hurley. He's going to put in the rest of his bench. Adama Sanogo is going to leave the game. Definitely what more can be said. They've been fantastic in this game for the Huskies. Larry says zone when you're down 30. That's funny right there. At that point, it doesn't really matter, you know? Like you said, I mean, you're down by 30 and you go zone. That's kind of funny. Buckeye Mike says Sanogo is my favorite player on UConn. Well, he's the best player on UConn. I mean, that's easy for sure. I mean, it's definitely, you know, awesome when a guy's the best player on the team for sure. I mean, he has been playing well in this game. But, again, Jordan Hawkins has probably been the best player for UConn in this game, especially points-wise. But Sanogo, his presence has definitely been key, and his teammates have stepped up. But Adama Sanogo, he's a great player. He's so fun to watch, and he's gotten so much better. And for him, he's just floated under the radar in college basketball. You look at all of the greatest bigs right now in college basketball. Trace Jackson Davis, Drew Timme, Hunter Dickinson, Zach Edey, Armando Bacot, Oscar Tshiebwe. The list goes on and on. Adama Sanogo just floats under the radar. Whether it's because of the fact he averages a little less than those guys or the fact that he's in the Big East, sometimes the conference maybe could be a little bit forgotten sometimes. But Adama Sanogo is elite. He's an elite big in college basketball. He's averaging over 17 points, 8-9 boards. He's one of the best. He might not be the top tier, but if there is, you know, room for one more in the top tier, Adama Sanogo belongs on that list along with the other great bigs in college basketball. He is a fantastic player. He's gotten better in so many facets of the game. He's a better passer than he used to be. He's starting to hit threes every now and then, rarely, but he can make them. Great player overall. and he helps out his team so much. Buckeye Mike says UConn showing its dominance. For sure. They've been dominant the whole tournament. And it's tough to be dominant against so many different styles, so many different teams, and so many different games, game in and game out. But UConn's doing that. But again, one bad game, you could get knocked out. So can UConn do this in the Final Four? Can UConn do this in the national championship game? If they can do that, UConn could be the 2023 national champions. But they're going to have to play 2 more great games after this game. They're going to have to find a way to do that. But if they play the dominant basketball they've done in the first 4 games of the NCAA tournament, they'll have a really great chance to win. James Scott says, 30 points in 6 minutes is a rough ass. It's 15 baskets to none. Yeah, and Gonzaga's hit 3 shots. They've hit 3 shots in the second half. So it's definitely not going to happen, especially now there's only 3 minutes left in the game. Edward says, I don't know about even the guards on Gonzaga are worse than UConn's. Yeah, that was the big issue for Gonzaga all year. Their guards were a weakness. They have good guards. They have solid guards. They don't have great guards. They don't have Jalen Suggs. They don't have Andrew Nembhard and some of the other guards they've had in the past. They just don't have elite guard play. That was the weakness for Gonzaga, and it didn't bite them in the West Coast Conference and in a lot of games in the tournament so far. But in this game, it definitely has. Drew Timme's exhausted. He's been in foul trouble. He hasn't had the best game that he's ever had, and the rest of his team is not hitting shots. That's when you need your guards to step up. James Scott says 33 points at 3.5 left, just a dominant performance. It's unbelievable. This game you would expect to be close. You would think it'd be going back and forth, that they would, this game would go down the wire, possibly be a game that goes down to the last shot even. But this game has been none of the sort. It's been a dominant wire-to-wire performance by UConn, and all kudos to the Huskies. They deserve to be in the Final Four. And Edwards says UConn emptying the bench. They have some players are going to be getting in the game soon. Adamas Sanogo's still in the game, oddly enough, but I guess the next foul, they're going to bring him in. But Hunter Salas, he's fouled on the drive. He'll be going to the line. But right now, it's all window dressing at this point. It's not going to matter. If Gonzaga scored every single possession and UConn's bringing in all the bench and they just keep turning it over, I don't think it's going to matter. And plus, Dan Hurley would bring in the starters before any chance Gonzaga could come back. But it's been a dominating performance by UConn. There's nothing else that can be said. It's been unbelievable. But Hunter Salas at the line for Gonzaga, and he misses the free throw. Gonzaga's missed their insane amount of free throws in this game as well. They have not hit their free throws. They've really struggled from the line. Got to make your free throws. At this point, it doesn't really matter, but it's interesting. Austin Williams says, UConn was my dark horse Final Four team. Thanks for being here, Austin. And you had a really good point. UConn, they're going to the Final Four. They're a great team. And they've been playing great basketball consistently, which is what you have to do in March Madness. No bad games. Hunter Salas, he does hit the second free throw. UConn with a 32-point lead. 3 to go in the second half. UConn, with their bench in now, probably just going to drag this clock down. Donovan Klingman takes it to a little early in the shot clock, considering you're up by 32. You'd think maybe take a little more time. He misses the shot. Gonzaga with the ball. 2:50 to go in the second. Timmy's still in the game. And Ben Gregg for 2 for Gonzaga. It's probably going to be a situation where Gonzaga cuts this lead a little bit, but this game was nowhere near close at any point. Even if Gonzaga can lose by 20, it wasn't even that close. UConn dominated this game, but Gonzaga still has their starters in. UConn's taking them out to get the bench players in the game for March Madness and for a little bit of respect for the other team, because UConn's dominated this game. Joey Calcaterra with the ball with 2 seconds on the shot clock. He has to throw up a shot, and it hits the front rim, but UConn with the offensive rebound, they're still hustling. 2 to go in the game. Donovan Klingman, he takes the 2, and he misses the shot again. Drew Timme with the rebound. It's cool for Mark Few leaving Drew Timme in the game. It's sad that his career is probably going to be over. Ben Gregg with the ball. He gets blocked by Klingman, and Ben Gregg gets it back and lays it in. But 80-52, 1:53 to go in the second half. Jackson says, I honestly regret not having UConn in my Final Four. Well, I don't think a lot of people thought UConn would go this far. A lot of people lost faith in UConn or was off the UConn train once they struggled in Big East play, but they turned it around. What a job by Dan Hurley. They were a great team in the non-conference, but had some struggles. But they really turned it around. But Drew Timme, he's going to the bench. This is sad to see. Drew Timme, what a career. at Gonzaga. He was fantastic for the Bulldogs, and he's finally going to the bench. 80-52 UConn. Under 2 minutes to go. 1:40 to go in the second half. The game is almost over. UConn has all of their bench players in now. UConn misses a three. Gonzaga with the rebound. And now Gonzaga is bringing in their bench as well. Both teams have their bench in. At least both teams, the bench gets to experience March Madness, but UConn gets to experience it in victory. Gonzaga gets to experience it in losing. Very tough for the Bulldogs, but what a performance by UConn. 1:10 to go in the second half. UConn just dribbling the clock out. Jeff says to Austin, you were correct on UConn and the dark horse. Edward said, I've been saying watch out for Miami. They have elite guard play, and you need elite guard play to go far in March, and they made it to the Elite Eight so far. You're absolutely correct, Edward. 100%. UConn with a layup, 82-52, 50 seconds to go, but guards win in March, and that was the thing for Gonzaga. They didn't have elite guard play, and their guards really struggled in this game. UConn had much better guard play. They made shots, and you're right. If Miami keeps playing at a high level and they can keep making shots, Wong and Isaiah Wong, Nigel Pack, they'll be fine. I think Miami has a really good chance to beat Texas, but if they're not making shots and they're struggling from the field, then they could lose. So guards do win in March. You're absolutely correct, Edward. Gonzaga, they just scored another two, but there's only 30 seconds left in this game. It's 82-54. UConn, what a performance by the Huskies. Dan Hurley has to be proud. Still a lot of work to do for UConn if they want to advance all the way to the national championship game and get a national championship, their fifth in program history. But what a performance from UConn. Austin says, could history repeat itself? Remember 2014 UConn. Again, UConn's had a lot of success as a program with Jim Calhoun. They can win another title. They're the only team left in the tournament that's won a title. All the other teams that have not won a title. So we could have a new champion or UConn could get another one. But it's 82-54, and UConn is moving on to the Final Four. Mark Few and Dan Hurley embrace. What a tough loss for Mark Few's team. Drew Timme. But what a game from UConn. They led from wire to wire. Adam Sanogo had a good game, but more importantly, UConn's guards, Jordan Hawkins, all their players just played great. UConn advances their sixth Final Four in school history. But overall, UConn's players just played great. All of their players. Everyone that entered the game played great. But Drew Timme upset on the sidelines. It's so sad to see. Gonzaga just looked exhausted from the jump after that tough win over UCLA. They didn't have the guard play. They just did not have enough offense to get the win. But Mark Few, a class act, shaking all the hands of the UConn coaches and players, all the teams. Great sportsmanship overall. But what a win. What a dominating performance for UConn. And now, for a lot of people, probably the favorite to win it all. We'll see. I don't think anybody you could say is the favorite the way March Madness has gone this year, but definitely UConn has been the most dominating team. They've been fantastic. It will be interesting to see for sure. But what a performance. We have Florida Atlantic beating Kansas State tonight, 79-76. The UConn Huskies beat the Gonzaga Bulldogs, 82-54. They're both in the Final Four. And now tomorrow we got to see who's going to win San Diego State Creighton and Texas Miami to see who's going to be joining them in the Final Four. It should be a lot of fun. I should be back to live stream tomorrow for at least one of the games, probably just one, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Share the stream out on social media. But thanks, everyone, for being here tonight. You guys were awesome. You guys made this stream great. You guys were amazing. Thanks, everyone, for being here tonight. March Madness is getting closer to the end. It's going to be sad when it's over, but you still got it. You got next year, obviously. Basketball will be around the corner before we know it, but it's not over yet. Still going to be a lot of great games. Looking forward to tomorrow. It should be awesome. But UConn with the dominating win over Gonzaga. They played a fantastic game, and UConn definitely deserves to be in the Final Four. But thanks to everyone for being here. You guys were awesome. March Madness has been great, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here, everybody.